Yo, what's up, everyone? It's Legacy Shinobi here, back with another What If That's Bound to Blow Your Mind. Today, we're diving into what if Naruto left Konoha for Kirigakure, trained by Kisame, and mastered the Seven Swords. An epic Naruto story. Picture this. Naruto, fed up with Konoha's betrayal and neglect, finds himself in the Mist Village, where he's taken in by the legendary Kisame Hashigaki. Under Kisame's brutal training, Naruto doesn't just master one blade. He conquers all seven ninja swords of the mist. How will this version of Naruto shake up the shinobi world? You already know this one's going to be packed with insane battles, power upgrades, and Naruto's rise to legendary status. Before we dive in, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more epic what-ifs. Alright, no more waiting. Let's jump straight into the story. The two Kirigakure ninjas sent on the mission nodded. Yes, Misama. Good. Now go. Mei commanded, as the two Kirigakure ninja body flickered away. Naruto shouldered the scroll of seals as he ran into the forest. He knew that the villagers hated him, which was why his dream was to become the Hokage and earn their recognition and respect. And the first step he needed to take to become Hokage was to graduate from the academy. Mizuki had told him to take the scroll of seals to graduate, so the Konoha ninja in training had snuck into the Hokage Tower to obtain it and graduate. The dark forest lay ahead of Naruto, the trees towering over the young Jinchuriki. The meeting point with Mizuki was close by. Naruto ran forward, but unbeknownst to him, a pair of bloodshot round eyes were focused on him. How did this not even Genin ninja sneak in a Hokage Tower and steal something wearing that bright orange jumpsuit in the middle of the night? The person staring at Naruto said, smelling the scent of the blonde ninja in training. And he's also a Jinchuriki. I need to improvise. This guy is probably a better fit for the squad than the second candidate that Mei-sama suggested. The mysterious Kirigakure ninja jumped down to confront Naruto. How did you sense me? Naruto asked, grabbing a kunai knife. I smelled you, the Kirinin said, his scaly, blue skin showing under the moonlight. Do you want to become a genin? Yeah, Naruto said. I failed the ninja exam, so I would take any chance to be a genin, which is why I'm borrowing this from the Hokage to give to Mizuki, so I can become a genin. The sword behind the scaly man growled. The Kirinin, the famous wielder of Samehada Kisame Hashigaki, chuckled. Well, this Mizuki is definitely lying. Really? Naruto asked, and the nodding of Kisame's head confirmed it. Then, how am I going to become a genin? How am I going to become the Hokage? Give up on becoming Hokage. I have an even better deal for you. One that will involve you becoming a ninja. Kisame said in his gruff voice. Never. Naruto hollered as he entered a fighting stance. Naruto weaved one-hand seal, using the ninjutsu he had learned from the Scroll of Seals, the Shadow Clone Jutsu. Impressive, Kisame said, but he quickly counterattacked, sending out water sharks from the ground to attack Naruto's clones. Should you accept, you'll be trained so that you can be as strong as me, perhaps even stronger. Naruto prepared another attack, drawing from his near-unlimited chakra pool. More clones appeared, surrounding Kisame from all angles. Again, the Kirigakure swordsman sent out water sharks to defeat Naruto's clones. Suddenly, a huge shuriken appeared out of nowhere. I've got you now, demon brat, Mizuki said, jumping out of the forest. I've got you cornered. You never will become a genin. I'll use this scroll to become very powerful. Naruto braced himself, unsure of what to do. Fortunately for Naruto, the blow never came. Kisame had blocked the shuriken with his sword, knocking the oversized shuriken to the ground. Now it's time for you to go, Kisame said as he sliced at Mizuki. With one slash, Mizuki was dead. That one attack was enough to convince Naruto to accept. Yeah, I'm coming, Naruto said. Good, Kisame said. We're heading to Kirigakure. The two disappeared into the night. The third Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi, woke up to the calling of an ANBU officer, Tiger. Hiruzen looked around, unsure as to why Tiger was calling him in the middle of the night. He had fallen asleep on his desk doing paperwork, and deep in his heart, he hoped that the wake-up call was not about the papers he had to skim through and sign. The call wasn't about paperwork. It was much worse. Hokage-sama? The Scroll of Seals has disappeared, Tiger said, the third Hokage instantly upping his guard. Also, the Kyubi Jinchuriki is gone. Naruto! Hiruzen thought to himself, shocked by the disappearance of one of his pupil's children and a valuable Konoha artifact written by the first Hokage, as well as his sensei's brother, Hashirama Senju himself. Have I already failed you, Minato? Hiruzen's train of thought was cut off almost instantaneously by the entry of one of his former friends, Danzo Shimura. Hurry up and act. We need the weapon back, as well as the scroll of Konoha forbidden jutsus. Danzo barked. Don't call Naruto a weapon. He's a human and a valuable asset to the village. Hiruzen said firmly. Tiger, send a platoon of 3 ANBU, Kakashi Hatake, Might Guy, and Asuma Sarutobi to retrieve Naruto Uzumaki and bring him back to Konoha. Yes, sir, Tiger said, as he instantly darted away to perform his duty. Danzo scoffed at Hiruzen before walking away himself. I wonder what happens in his brain? Hiruzen thought. Danzo is not to be trusted, and I suspect that Root is still active. Ao, the sole Byakugan user not from Kirigakure, ran out of Konoha with a companion following after. The experienced ninja ran towards the forest outside of Kirigakure, the rendezvous point with his accomplice, Kisame. The trees towered above Ao's head, but he kept on running until he reached Kisame. Oi, you got the brat? Kisame asked Ao, who replied with a silent nod. Wasn't your brat supposed to be Sasuke Uchiha? Ao inquired, curious as to why Kisame would change his target in the middle of the mission. Long story. I'll explain later. Kisame said, let's go, before Konoha comes looking for their scroll and their Jinchuriki. At that very moment, as they ran off towards Kirigakure, a Konoha search party emerged from the shadows. Someone was here just now. The sensory ambu officer, Eagle, reported. I think I see them. Let's go. Kakashi Hatake barked as the squadron began the pursuit of Naruto Uzumaki and the Scroll of Seals. Ao looked back towards Konoha with his stolen Byakugan. I see pursuers, Ao said, pointing towards the Naruto retrieval squadron. 6 of them, to be exact. Speed up, brats, Kisame barked, before preparing another ninjutsu to slow the pursuers down. Earth style, mud wall. A wall of earth rose from the ground before the group continued running. Naruto and Shikamaru tried their best to keep up, and both, especially Shikamaru, knew that if they even slowed down for a moment, the Konoha ninja would catch up to them. Despite the fact that Kisame and Ao were slowing down to fit the pace of the 2 junior ninja, they still were ahead of the 2 Konoha defectors. Ao checked for the Konoha ninja tailing them again and reported 6 pursuers again. Kisame, still level-headed even though they were being chased by skilled Konoha jonin, barked out another order. Naruto, use your clone jutsu. Send all the clones in different directions except back. Kisame ordered. Got it, Databao? Naruto said, as he formed the 1 seal for the Shadow Clone Jutsu. 50 Shadow clones sprung up out of nowhere and ran away from the main group. Naruto grinned, pleased with his jutsu. They're getting closer, but they're starting to split up into 2 cells. Ao said, I can get more specific information now. The ninja in this platoon include Asuma Sarutobi, the copy ninja Kakashi Hatake, and Might Guy. Mei sat in her chair, wondering about how her Jonin squad were doing on their mission to retrieve the recruits for her new organization. Thoughts raced through her brain, anxious about the success of the mission. Then, she remembered that she had sent 2 of her most capable Jonin in all of Kirigakure, and calmness washed over her. A Kirigakure ENBU teleported into her office with a body flicker before giving a report. Mei-sama, Kisame and his retrieval squad are nearing Nami no Kuni. Are we sending reinforcements? The ENBU officer asked. Mei nodded. Send Zabuza and Ganryu to retrieve them at the meeting point in Nami no Kuni. Yes, ma'am. The ENBU officer replied, saluting before darting away to perform his job. Kakashi Hatake, Asuma Sarutobi, Might Guy, and Eagle chased after the Kirigakure ninja at full speed, Eagle using his Byakugan to scout ahead. I see 4 figures, Eagle exclaimed, pointing towards Kisame, Ao, and the 2 Konoha defectors. The Konoha ninjas sped up, beginning to near the defectors. Kakashi began weaving hand seals, pulling his headband off his Sharingan. Suddenly, Kisame stopped. Kakashi released his jutsu, exhaling a fireball at the Samehada wielder. Kisame instantly countered by slicing through the attack with Samehada. Go! Kisame shouted, as AO sealed up Naruto and Shikamaru to go faster. Water style, Force Shark Shower. Kisame Hashigaki, the monster of Kirigakure. Kakashi said, "Where is Naruto Uzumaki HM?" 4 water sharks rained down towards the Konoha ninja, dropping down like lightning. Kakashi countered with the earth style, Mud Wall, before forming the hand seals for another ninjutsu. Asuma and Eagle used the opportunity to pursue AO, who had Naruto, Shikamaru, and ironically, the scroll of seals sealed into a scroll. Front Lotus! Guy screamed, kicking Kisame into the air. Lightning style, Lightning Current Enhanced. Kakashi said, releasing a concentrated bolt of electricity at the midair Kisame. Kisame grinned at the fun he was having dueling the Konoha ninja, but another attack was coming. Midair, the skilled swordsman blocked the attack with Samehada. He glanced at his second opponent, Might Guy, who was preparing for another attack. As his body touched the ground, Kisame slammed his hand into the ground again, forming a mud wall. The defensive move was enough to buy him some time, as he prepared to continue the fight. As the taijutsu and ninjutsu battle raged on, Kisame could feel Guy's power increasing slowly. Is this the 8 gates that Fubuki told me about? Kisame wondered, blocking another barrage of nintaijutsu. Suddenly, Guy's speed rapidly increased as his face reddened and his facial veins bulged outwards. Asakujiko! Guy screamed, hitting Kisame with a flurry of punches. Kisame wiped the blood off his cheek before he ripped off the bandages of Samehada. The facial features of a shark began appearing on his face as Samehada disappeared. Soon, Kisame was a human shark. Hiradora! Guy shouted, hitting Kisame with a superpowered and lightning-fast punch. Only a bruise appeared on Kisame's chest, but that wouldn't last long. Kakashi's hand glowed with lightning chakra, preparing his fabled lightning cutter. Kakashi lunged at Kisame, and the shark sword wielder, slightly dazed from the 6 gates taijutsu attack just before, couldn't dodge. All Kisame could do was spin around, Kakashi's attack only hitting the side of his waist. Kisame grimaced. Well, my job here is done. That was a fun battle, Kisame said, smirking. Mist slowly creeped around the area, and before Kakashi and Guy could stop him, Kisame was gone in a flicker. Ao ran towards the port a while away, already at the border of Nami no Kuni. Asuma and Eagle were hot in pursuit, and Ao knew that the 2 other ENBU that Naruto's clones had distracted were coming to assist soon. All he had to do was get to the ship, and reinforcements would be there and do the rest. Water style, Water Shockwave. Ao said, sending another wave of water at the Konoha ninja behind. Ao would soon be out of chakra, already spending so much on keeping his Byakugan active and sending out jutsus when Asuma and Eagle were getting dangerously close. The seal on Naruto and Shikamaru was hard to maintain. Asuma chuckled, releasing an Earth-style technique to send another attack flying towards Ao. His Byakugan showing him the incoming attack, Ao dodged, giving Asuma more time to catch up. Just when Ao was about to run out, Kisame's body flickered over, fending off Asuma and Eagle. Great timing, Ao said, catching his breath before continuing the run towards the port. Fire style, Burning Ash, Asuma said, spewing out gunpowder from his open mouth and lighting it on fire. Kisame instantly countered with a water-style technique. Unfortunately for the Kirigakure ninja, Kakashi and Guy were back on their tail. Kisame grunted, seeing as his enemies were back. I see the port, Ao exclaimed, before speeding up with whatever chakra he had remaining. Kisame followed suit, darting towards the port. Kakashi, Asuma, and Guy ran at top speed, not wanting their target to get away. In the final leg of the race, the Konoha squadron began to get close to their targets, right behind Kisame and Ao. Boo! Kakashi said, a lightning cutter in his hand. Kakashi prepared to stab it into Ao's back, but suddenly, a wide blade, also wrapped in bandages, blocked the attack. You guys need some help? The wielder of the Hiramakiri blade, Ganryu asked, Zabuza appearing next to him. Ao let out a sigh of relief, saved by his comrade's blade. Using the remnants of his chakra, Ao ran across the dock onto the Kirigakure ship. Out of chakra, Ao fainted. Ganryu and Zabuza drew their blades, Hiramakarei and Kubikarabocho respectively. Do you want a duel? Zabuza asked, a smug grin on his face. Water clone jutsu. Zabuza clones appeared out of the water, surrounding the Konoha ninja. Kisame used this opportunity to get into the boat, protecting the packages that was Naruto and Shikamaru. Kakashi quickly formed the seals for Earth style. Doom quake as the ground began to shake. Some of the clones disappeared, forming a thick mist around the area. Kakashi, tell me where the real Zabuza is. Guy said, and his partner nodded, Kakashi's implanted Sharingan glowing red. There, Kakashi said, turning his head towards the real Zabuza. Hiradora, Guy said, launching a speedy punch at the real Zabuza. The attack was too fast to dodge or do a substitution jutsu on. Zabuza flew backwards from the impact. Ganryu used his sword to start fighting Kakashi and Guy, blocking Guy's weaker impacts with his sword and using his own ninjutsu to counter Kakashi's Sharingan and repertoire of techniques. The taijutsu user is getting weaker, Ganryu thought before kneeing Guy in the stomach. Weak from the continuous use of the 8 gates, Guy could not take the hit as well as at the start of the battle. Ganryu began relentlessly barraging Guy with sword slashes, the master of taijutsu slowly getting pushed back. You know, I fought your father before. Ganryu taunted. I lost, but you're much weaker than him. Guy began roaring with anger, preparing to open up the 7th and 8th gates, but Kakashi shook his head. Don't do it, Guy. Kakashi berated. This mission isn't worth your entire body. Guy obeyed. Kakashi continued his jutsu chain, attacking Ganryu with his near-infinite arsenal. Taking advantage of the chaos, Asuma crept towards the boat where the seal containing Naruto and Shikamaru was held. The former member of the 12 Guardian Ninjas' hand reached into the boat, but a sharp blade came coming down on his hand. Just in time, Asuma retracted his arm. You forgot I was here, didn't you? Kisame said, recovering at a fast pace. Even with his abnormal recovery rate rivaling that of the weakest-tailed beast, the 6 gates attacks had taken a toll on his body. They call me the tailless-tailed beast for a reason, you know. Asuma's mouth morphed into a frown. Damn, I thought I could retrieve the Jinchuriki. Asuma cursed, before grabbing his chakra blades and preparing to fight. Asuma's chakra glowed brightly around the blades, resembling sharp knuckle dusters. Kisame's hand wrapped around Samehada, ready to trade blows with the Konoha Jonin. I probably won't even need to enter shark mode, Kisame said, yawning. Asuma lunged at Kisame, a calm look still on his face. If I hit him while he's not focused, I might shift the flow of the battle in my favor, Asuma thought, as he slashed his chakra blade at Kisame. First mistake, Kisame said before sidestepping and using the hilt of the blade to hit Asuma. Asuma quickly dodged the hit before throwing his blade at Kisame. Kisame dodged again, but the blade veered his direction. Wind style, Jade Hurricane, Asuma said before coming in close. You're not bad, Kisame said, but nowhere near the level of your comrades. Reigo, Thousand Hand Strike, Asuma said, as the spirit of cannon appeared behind him. Attack. The cannon turned into a demon-like creature before launching 1,000 fists at Kisame. The speed of the strikes was nowhere near Guy's, but the timing of the punches was near perfect. Even with Samehada, Kisame couldn't dodge every attack. Second form, Kunai Fist, Asuma directed, the spirit grabbing kunai out of Asuma's pouch and beginning to relentlessly throw the knives at Kisame. It's true that this technique is more useful in the hands of Chiriku, but my version is close enough. Unlike the last attack, Kisame was able to dodge the kunai. Asuma just smirked before forming a hand seal. The kunai veered towards Kisame from behind, but Samehada's user just took the hit. The wounds quickly healed, the second impact nowhere near the power of the first. Got it, Asuma said, revealing the scroll with Naruto and Shikamaru sealed in it. Let's go. Kakashi, Guy, and Eagle nodded as they took off towards Konoha. The scroll, Ganryu yelled to Kisame. Because all 4 Kirigakure ninja were tired from the long fight, nobody went after the scroll. Ao still hadn't awoken from the chakra depletion. Zabuza and Ganryu were injured and tired from the fight with opponents at their level, and Kisame, He just wasn't following the Konoha ninja. Ganryu and Zabuza prepared to go after the enemies, but Kisame's icy hand stopped them. "We have a plan." He reassured his teammates on the 7 swordsmen of the mist. Both swordsmen knew that Kisame was superior to them and trusted in him. They didn't chase after the Konoha ninja. After a while, when the Naruto retrieval squad was gone, the Kirigakure ninja prepared to depart for the village. Kisame raised his hand, and a water dome arose from under the water. Inside it was Naruto and Shikamaru, as well as the scroll of seals. "So we didn't lose the package," Zabuza noted. "It was just a decoy. It was his idea." Kisame nodded, pointing at Shikamaru. "When I was recovering in the ship, Ao's seal loosened, and the contents were released. Nobody noticed because they were too caught up in the battle." "Oh," Ganryu said, his trust and respect of Kisame growing even more. "He told me to make a fake seal for them to steal, seeing as they already forgot about our ship. I gave him a scroll, and he used it to draw a fake seal, and I hid them underwater with the water prison technique." Kisame continued his explanation. "I've got to admit that idea is ingenious. I get why Mei-sama wants you." Shikamaru gave no response. "Let's go," Ganryu said, as the Kirigakure ninja boarded the boat and sailed into the vast waters ahead. Kakashi, Asuma, Guy, and their squad mates returned to Hokage Tower, the scroll in hand. Naruto and the scroll of seals are sealed in this scroll. Eagle reported to the 3rd Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi. The old Hokage tried to unseal the scroll, but the scroll wouldn't open. "This seal is fake," he said. "Where are they?" I don't know, sir," one of the other Yinbyu replied. "You guys should have checked the scroll on the way back," Hiruzen said, disappointed in the Naruto retrieval squad. "Where did he go? And who abducted him?" Kakashi had an answer in mind to this question. "I think it was Kirigakure, sir." The boat sailed into the gates of Kirigakure. Kisame weaved a simple seal onto the water, and the gate opened. The boat holding the package that Mei had ordered was here, and the mission was a success. The team got off the ship, onto the village that was Kirigakure. The bright lanterns hanging on the street illuminated the night, and the tall houses littered the streets. The team walked along the streets until they arrived right in front of the towering and magnificent residence of the Mizukage Spire. "Welcome to Kirigakure." Naruto, Kisame, Ao, Shikamaru, and the 2 other swordsmen entered the huge tower, known to everyone as the Mizukage Spire. The towering cylindrical structure with a domed top overlooked Kirigakure, the new look contrasting with the past look during the Bloody Mist era. The narrow body and the wide, domed top of the spire magnified the sense of power ever present in the structure. The eyes of the Konoha defectors darted around the building, stunned at the splendor of the tower. "Whoa," Naruto said, astonished. "Yeah, this is where Mizukage-sama works," Ao said, pointing at the domed space at the top of the tower. "But her office is not where we're headed. Follow me." Ao and the 3 swordsmen of the mist accompanying him infused their chakra into a seal on the wall. In a poof of smoke, the 4 Kirigakure Jonin and 2 former Konoha trainees disappeared. In the village hidden in the leaves, Hiruzen Sarutobi's head ached. He had lost the Nara Air, the scroll containing powerful jutsu written by the 1st Hokage, and worst of all, the biggest advantage Konoha had over its neighbors, the Jinchuriki of the Nine Tails. Even a few of the toughest shinobi in Konoha had failed to retrieve the scroll containing these 3 things, tricked by the captors of Naruto. On top of that, Danzo had used the absence of the graduated Shikamaru to place one of his Anbyu in a squad with Sasuke Uchiha, under the reason of keeping the last Uchiha safe. "Ugh!" Hiruzen groaned, tired from all the thinking and paperwork. "Hokage-san?" Eagle exclaimed, body flickering into the room. "What?" Hiruzen complained. "We just confirmed that the kidnappers of the Nine Tails Jinchuriki are from Kirigakure," Eagle said. Kakashi and Guy both saw their headbands, and nearby bystanders from Nami no Kuni saw the swordsman heading in the direction of Kirigakure. "I will personally write a letter to the new Mizukage requesting the return of Naruto and Shikamaru." Hiruzen responded sternly. "Yes, Hokage-sama," Eagle said, disappearing into the village. The Konoha defection squad teleported into the training area under the Mizukage Spire, where several other ninja around Naruto's age were already gathered. The fifth Mizukage, Mei Terumi, stood next to the four other swordsmen of the mist. "So, you guys are finally here," Mei said, pleased with the success of the mission. Suddenly, Mei noticed something odd. Gesturing to Kisame, Mei called her subordinate over. "Yes, Mizukage-sama?" Kisame inquired as to why he was called over. He had suspicions that it was because he did not bring the original target, Sasuke Uchiha, but instead Naruto. "I have faith in your abilities, but why did you bring this Konoha ninja in an orange jumper instead of Uchiha Sasuke? And is that a chakra like the last Mizukage I sense?" Mei whispered. "Naruto Uzumaki impressed me," Kisame said. "Also, he carries 2 additional gifts with him." Mei's eyes perked up, curious as to what Kisame was talking about. Mei knew that Kisame was not easily impressed, and wanted to know what feat Naruto had performed to earn Kisame's attention. "Naruto Uzumaki broke into the Hokage Tower and stole the Scroll of Seals, wearing that bright orange jumpsuit in the middle of the night," Kisame said. "And that chakra you sensed is the chakra of his prisoner, the nine-tailed fox." "Oh," Mei said, finally understanding the reasoning behind that choice. "When will Jonin come back from the academy?" Jonin Akabino, one of the 7 ninja swordsmen of the mist and wielder of Kabutawari, stood in the Kirigakure Ninja Academy, changed significantly from the academy at the time of the Bloody Mist. Now, instead of the last ninja standing graduating, the shinobi in the academy graduated if they were able to pass the test by performing several basic ninjutsu. However, today was different. Jonin's sharp glare pierced through the classroom, penetrating the eyes of the young genin. This group of genin were the strongest 8 in the last batch of graduates, offered the chance of a lifetime if they could pass an extra test. Jonin looked at the genin in front of him, dueling each other with swords. The test was a tournament of kenjutsu, where each genin was taught the very basics of swordsmanship and then fought each other using those blades. Right now, only the semifinals remained before the victor would be decided. Next match is Suigetsu Hozuki against Mizuno, and Kimimaro Kagaya against Nowaki Fusion, Jonin announced, as the 4 genin grabbed their blades. "Begin!" Sparks flew as jutsu were cast, blades colliding with intense force. Each genin was using a unique battle style to supplement their blades. Kimimaro's left-hand bone acted as a second blade, while a vortex of wind and water from Nowaki enveloped his sword. Suigetsu's unique Kekiai Jinkai allowed him to dodge attacks swiftly before landing his own, and Mizuno's orthodox but efficient movements allowed her to trade blows with her opponent. "This group of genin is stronger than I expected. Mizukage-sama may have to do some team rearranging," Jonin thought, as the battles soon came to an end. Suigetsu raised his blade, Mizuno on the ground. Kimimaro followed suit, barely beating Nowaki. The finals was about to commence, and Jonin was curious to see who would come out on top. "Begin!" Suigetsu immediately melted into water, evading Kimimaro's first slash. Suigetsu materialized again, landing a strike on Kimimaro. Unfortunately for the Hozuki, Kimimaro had already prepared another bone, blocking the sword blow. Grunting, Kimimaro pulled out a bone from his chest and slashed furiously. A puddle of water appeared behind Kimimaro as Suigetsu formed and sliced. Kimimaro spun around in time, blocking Suigetsu's attack. "Water style, water wall," Suigetsu said, a water barrier arising from the ground to stop the sharp bone strike. Suigetsu emptied his water bottle, baring his teeth at Kimimaro. The 2 Kirigakure genin traded blows, dodging each other's attacks. Both ninja used their bodies as weapons, evenly matched. As Kimimaro caught his breath, Suigetsu struck. Tired from chakra exhaustion, Kimimaro couldn't deal with the attack. Suigetsu grinned and began a barrage of attacks. To no avail, the last Kagaya tried his very best to stop as many attacks as possible. Kimimaro collapsed. "Suigetsu Hozuki is the winner," Jonin said. "Suigetsu, let's go. Mizukage-sama is waiting." The duo body flickered away towards the gathering area. Danzo Shimura stood on a podium, in front of hundreds of ANBU soldiers loyal to only himself. This branch of ANBU was named Root, and although Hiruzen had ordered the disbanding of this group, Danzo had kept it going for the safety of Konoha. "Because of the stupidity of the 3rd Hokage, we lost both the Scroll of Seals and a nine tails to Kirigakure. Danzo announced. His top shinobi were fooled by a decoy planted by Kiri, and Hokage-sama is writing a letter to Kirigakure. Coward. Danzo's eyes scoured the crowd in front of him, before pointing at a lion-masked ANBU. Execute that spy from Iwagakure, Danzo ordered. The ANBU officer standing next to him slaughtered the Iwagakure spy mercilessly, his face void of expression. The lion-faced ANBU's reaction was too slow, only midway through weaving the hand seals for a defensive Earth-style ninjutsu. Danzo smiled slightly, pleased with how Root was coming along. The mindless obedience of his ANBU made them pretty much his slaves, albeit highly skilled ones. For the good of Konoha, Danzo said, his Root ANBU repeating after him. Fu, Torian Hinoto Sai, stay behind. The Root members dispersed to resume their posts, except the 4 shinobi that Danzo had mentioned. Danzo gave them quick instructions before they nodded and prepared for the mission ahead of them. After all, it was for the good of Konoha, right? Jinin Akabino and the winner of the academy competition, Suigetsu Hozuki, ran at full speed towards Mizukage Spire. Jinin and Suigetsu channeled their chakra into the seal at the lobby before teleporting to the training area below the island village known as Kirigakure. Finally, you're here, Mei said. So you won, Mangetsu Hozuki said to his younger brother. I would expect that from you. Unfazed, Suigetsu scoffed at his older brother's comment, but an interjection from the Mizukage silenced everyone. Shall we begin? Mei asked in a commanding tone. Everybody immediately stopped. All right. The 7 swordsmen placed their blades on the ground, each of the swords emitting absurd amounts of energy. Even the mostly unexperienced successors could sense the power levels of the weapons. The first blade, Hiramakiri, was wielded by Ganryu. The second blade, Kabutawari, was wielded by Jinin Akabino. The third blade, Kiba, was wielded by Amuri Ringo. The fourth blade, Kubikurabocho, was wielded by Zabuza Momochi. The fifth, Nuabari, was wielded by Kushimaru Courier. The sixth blade, Shibuki, was wielded by Jinpachi Munashi. And the seventh and final blade, possibly the strongest of them all, Samahata, wielded by the monster of the hidden mist, Kisame Hashigaki. Each blade was to be inherited by a member of the younger generation. Each one of you 7 will be able to choose a sword out of these 7. Mei informed the 7 ninja before her. You will be given the sword that suits you best, then will train under the swordsman that mastered your blade. On top of that, we will have other jonin training you in basic ninjutsu. Everyone awaiting gaining their blades stared in excitement, their blank eyes twinkling like the stars in the sky. The 2 more experienced ninja, Chojuro and Mangetsu Hozuki, already had an idea of which blade they wanted and were most suited to use, most likely due to experience. Chojuro, Mei said, as the young jonin grinned and walked forward, gripping Hiramakiri with his 2 hands. The twins' word hummed with energy, beginning storing Chojuro's chakra inside the great blade. It was clear that Hiramakiri was a perfect fit for the blue-haired teen. Ganryu nodded, confirming that Hiramakiri would become Chojuro's. Mei gestured at Kirigakure's second coming of the demon, the veteran Mangetsu Hozuki. The prodigy had spent most of his career training and learning kenjutsu, never bothering to try to get promoted. Mangetsu walked over to the remaining blades, testing every one. Kiba accepted him. Kubikurabocho let him wield it. Nuabari didn't deny him. Shibuki didn't blow up. Samahata allowed Mangetsu to hold the sword. Kabutawari received him. Mangetsu's emotionless face allowed a slight hint of satisfaction to appear on his face. Samahata? Mei asked Kisame. It didn't stop him. Kisame shook his head in disappointment. Mangetsu won't wield Samahata unless he is the only one who can. Samahata just let him use it, not chosen him. We'll decide later. Mei instructed Mangetsu, who nodded and returned to the almost swordsman. Ranmaru, the young shinobi with an extremely rare Kekkei Genkai, strode up to the swords, his brownish-reddish eyes skimming through the selections of overpowered weapons before him. His eyes focused on 2 blades, Nuabari and Kiba. The long sword and the thunder swords glittered in the eyes of Ranmaru, picking up Nuabari first. The blade gave no reaction. The purple-haired genin silently wished that his next choice would accept him, praying to Kami. Here goes nothing, Ramaru thought, as he clasped the thunder swords with both arms. The twin lightning blades crackled with electricity, sizzling with eagerness. Ramaru looked with glee at Kiba, excited to become the wielder of one of the 7 swords of Kirigakure. Next person, Mei said. Haku. Zabuza's apprentice walked over, glancing at the 5 remaining blades. Instinctively, due to the long time she had spent with Zabuza before he accepted Mei's invitation to return to Kiri, she picked up Kubikurabocho, the blade of her master. As disappointed as his face showed, Zabuza shook his head. Kubikurabocho isn't suited for Haku. The Sever Sword is more for taijutsu and offensive ninjutsu users, not efficient genjutsu and support jutsu users. Haku's eyes drooped, unable to wield her master's blade. Her second choice was the blast sword, Shibuki. As soon as Haku touched the grip, the hilt exploded, signaling that this blade wasn't the one for her. Dejectedness sneered at Haku, her saddened eyes about to try the blade most incompatible with her, Kabutawari. Suddenly, a sword that looked like a large senbon glinted in the corner of the ice release user's eye. Instantly, Haku ran over to grab the blade. The long sword, Nuabari. Delight showed itself on the covered face of Kushimaru Courier. Yes, this is the one who will wield Nuabari. He sneered. Haku excitedly spun the blade in her arms. The narrow but long needle-like sword felt as light as a feather, just like the feel of her signature senbon. Haku walked back to continue waiting. On the way, Nuabari knew that Kushimaru, their master from the old 7, had touched it. The ice-cold metal was definitely the result of Haku's unique Kekiai Genkai. You were right, Zabuza, Kushimaru muttered. Mei pointed at Suigetsu, and the proud Hozuki trotted over to the remaining swords. Suigetsu's pride forced him to go for the pickiest sword of all, Samahata, first. Suigetsu's palm wrapped around the grip, and chink. Spikes protruded from the hilt of Samahata, in clear denial of Suigetsu. Suigetsu had activated his Kekiai Genkai a bit too late. By the time his hand had melted into water, the water was already red with blood. Ugh! Suigetsu growled in frustration as his hand swapped to Kabutawari, still alert from Samahata's rejection. The young ninja looked at Kisame's face, the monster of the mist gladly looking down on him. Suigetsu hated that look, unaware that he sometimes would wear that very same proud face. Suigetsu grabbed Kabutawari, the blunt sword having no reaction to his grip. Try the next blade, Jinin said, knowing that this was neither acceptance nor denial. Suigetsu's hand hovered over Kubikurabocho, and finally, his fingers made contact. The bloodstained palm helped. A lot. The hilt of the executioner's blade shifted to fit Suigetsu's hand, the tip of the blade radiating with chakra. The elated grin on Suigetsu's face more than confirmed the fact that both blade and wielder had chosen one another. Mei glanced at the remaining blades. Only 3 remained. Shibuki, the blast sword, Kabutawari, the blunt sword, and Samahata, the great sword, and one of them was already occupied by Mangetsu. And the final 2 ninja who needed to get their blades were the 2 shinobi defecting from Konoha, Shikamaru Nara and Naruto Uzumaki. Uzumaki! The thought had never crossed Mei's mind. Wasn't the Uzumaki clan the clan of master sealers that Kiri, Kimo, and IWA had to work together to defeat? If so, then the boy had a crazy amount of untapped potential. And Naruto's face reminded Mei of one of Kiri's enemies in the Third Great War, one of the extremely strong ones, but Mei couldn't recall who. Mei shrugged off the thought, making a mental note to come back to it later, before calling Shikamaru. Shikamaru, your turn. What a drag, Shikamaru muttered, but walked over to choose a sword anyways. I'm not bothering with Samahata. Too much unnecessary trouble. Shikamaru thought. The Nara picked up Kabutawari, the blunt sword heavy in his hands. Shikamaru shook his head, knowing that this was not the blade for him. Besides, he had never wanted this one either. Looking at the 2 final blades, Samahata and Shibuki, he knew that if he chose the blade that didn't choose him, his hand would get injured. After a considerable amount of considering, Shikamaru settled on Shibuki, the less picky blade. Sure enough, the blade blew up. The explosions weren't from the hilt. The actual blade of Shibuki was exploding. Jinpachi smirked. Yup, this is Shibuki's new wielder. I'm gonna have tons of fun with this one. Shikamaru groaned. Finally, it was Naruto's turn. All right, it's my turn, Dadabayo, Naruto said, walking up excitedly. Despite his defection to Kirigakure, his bubbly personality had remained. Naruto grabbed Kabutawari, but shook his head. The blade was not well suited for his fighting style, and it was not very efficient. Kabutawari was mainly suited for hard hitters and people with unorthodox fighting styles that involved taijutsu and offense, even more so than Kobikurabocho. Naruto's hand hovered over the blade, known as Samehada. He wasn't afraid of the spikes. He had endured worse. With confidence, Naruto took a deep breath, and his hand enveloped the grip. The spikes never came. Samehada's killing intent grew tenfold, as everyone in the room looked in astonishment. Naruto, Kisame said, excited. Samehada has chosen you. Samehada has chosen you. Naruto's eyes stared off in a blank space, unsure as to why he was chosen. Samehada had rejected Suigetsu, so why him? As his attention drifted off, Mei spoke, and Naruto was pulled back into reality. Mangetsu, you'll be getting Kabutawari. The prodigy nodded, accepting the blunt sword as his own. Mei continued talking. All right, now that everyone has their blades, you will begin training under your masters tomorrow, as it is already very late today. However, you guys, except Chojuro, will attend the academy tomorrow morning to get sorted into your genin teams. All of the new 7 swordsmen looked excited to train, and at the mention of not training right away, disappointment crept onto their faces. But first, you guys are going to your estate, where you'll be living. Mei said, Ao will bring you there. Take your swords with you. Yes, Misama? The new swordsman said, nodding in compliance. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Mei said, winking. Naruto and the others followed Ao out of the training area through the entrance, walking into a spacious corridor decorated with pictures of the past Mizukage, such as Byakuren, Jinjetsu Hozuki, and the third Mizukage. All the images of Yagura had been taken down, leaving blotches of white on the whitewashed walls. Over here, Ao said, as they rounded the corner and exited the mansion containing the training area. Whoa! Naruto marveled in wonder at the true Kirigakure, an underwater village. The above-ground houses and structures were just a distraction to prevent invasion. Kirigakure was actually underwater. More beautiful lanterns illuminated the dark night, glowing with a soothing orange aura. The houses littered on each street separated to form a road where people could walk through. And at the center of it all was the newly constructed Kirigakure Academy. The building was redesigned and rebuilt in order to start anew, symbolizing moving on from the old to the new. Ao led the new 7 swordsmen through the streets of Kirigakure. Naruto and Shikamaru, the only people with no clue about Kirigakure. We're nearly there, Ao said, informing the group of their close proximity to the new 7 swordsman estate. Finally, the 7 arrived at their new residence, a towering mansion resembling a clan compound. The huge entrance welcomed friendlies, and the seals plastered all over the door warded off intruders. Ao opened the door. Welcome to your new home, Ao said. Everyone ran in excitedly, especially Naruto. The blonde-haired Uzumaki entered one of the rooms, placing Samehada on the sword hanger in the room and plopping himself on the soft and cozy bed. The softness of the mattress comforted Naruto's body in a pleasant manner, the sheer size of the room dwarfing that of his previous apartment in Konoha. This is my room, Naruto said, closing his eyes to enjoy the wonderful place known as Kirigakure. Snoring could be heard from inside the room, and before long, Naruto was fast asleep, looking forward to tomorrow. The sound of Naruto's shouts echoed throughout the large compound, awaking any sleepy souls unfortunate enough to still be sleeping, which was only Shikamaru. Wake up! We're heading to the academy in a few minutes, Naruto hollered. The blonde-haired ninja walked over to the counter in the kitchen, waiting for his instant ramen to cook. The blonde hated how instant ramen had instant in its name, but took 3 minutes to cook. Still, it was better than waiting a full 20 minutes for proper ramen, unless it was that good. Speaking of real ramen, Naruto remembered the only thing he would miss about Konoha Ichiraka ramen. The ramen at the stand was the best in the world, and Tucci and Ayam's kindness and indifference to the fact that he was supposedly the demon brat. He was sure that the two would be worried about their favorite customer, and he was actually quite worried about them. But he knew if he ever went to Konoha again, he would definitely go there again and reassure Tucci and Ayam of his well-being and eat 50 bowls of the food of the gods. Ding! The timer Naruto had set rang, and he instantly took out his chopsticks, slurping down the delicious ramen. It was at that moment that he noticed Shikamaru walking over from his room, groaning in tiredness. "Why did you wake me up? What a drag," Shikamaru complained, trudging across the room. The other members of the new Seven Swordsmen gradually filed into the room. Naruto finally finished his instant ramen when the latest member to the kitchen and the connected living room, Ranmaru, arrived. "Are we heading out yet?" Naruto asked the group, his mouth still full of his breakfast. "You guys should go now," Chojuro said. "I don't need to be there for the assignment of teams, so I'll just hang around the estate until you guys get back." Naruto nodded as he darted out of the door, excited to become a genin. As he navigated the streets of Kirigakure, a thought hit Naruto's mind. Where exactly was the Kirigakure Academy? Naruto mentally deadpanned at his own stupidity. Fortunately, the rest of the pack was right behind him. Suigetsu pointed at the building right by the Mizukage estate. "Over there, you dimwit," Suigetsu said in a monotone voice, taunting Naruto. "Hey!" Naruto protested at Suigetsu's comment, but caught himself before he managed to do anything too rash. The new Seven Swordsmen, with the exception of Chojuro, continued on their way with their swords on their backs, drawing the attention of the villagers, marveling at their hidden village's most treasured possessions, the Seven Swords of the Mist. Naruto felt different. The looks from the villagers were not of fear and anger, but of wonder and curiosity. The atmosphere was completely different, and Naruto liked it. He liked the looks of amazement and awe. He liked basking in the positive attention of the other people living in the village. He liked carrying one of the Land of Water's national treasures on his back and having it as his weapon. "We're here," Mangetsu said, the experienced genin here just for reassignment of teams by May. Immediately, Naruto returned to reality. The 6 genin entered the room, catching the glances of the genin already seated in the chairs. Naruto saw the eyes of the others in the room shifting to face them. The attention of both the other genin and the sensei was immediately attracted to them, just like an attention magnet. Mizuno, Nowaki, and Kimimaro glared at Suigetsu, unhappy that they had been denied the opportunity to wield one of the 7 swords. Unfazed, Suigetsu winked, pointing to the executioner's blade hung on his back, showing off the 2 holes used to actually decapitate people. This only infuriated the 3 losers even further. The 6 genin took a seat in the very top row, settling down in their chairs for their team assignment. The sensei informed everyone of who they were still waiting for, a female genin known as Mizuri. Everyone fell into silence, awaiting the arrival of the final student. Shikamaru was surprised at the quality of Kirigakure's ninja academy. He had expected it to be like Konoha's, but he was surprised. Unlike Konoha, Kirigakure lacked clans who had students in the academy, despite the heavy amount of clans that Kirigakure had, each with their unique Kekkei Genkai and Jutsu. Shikamaru had suspected this to be because of the purges that Yagura had done, but he wasn't very sure. At the very least, Kirigakure did not have Konoha's dependence on clans, their Kekkei Genkai, and clan Jutsu. Best of all, their academy lacked the worst thing about Konoha's: fangirls. Shikamaru was relieved that, even though this would probably be his only time in the Kirigakure Academy, he didn't have to hear fangirls screaming for their crush, like how Ino, Sakura, and some of the other girls whose names he hadn't bothered to remember used to simp for Sasuke, and how even Hinata had been stalking someone. He just didn't know who. However, something had felt off about one of the fangirls in the academy. Shikamaru couldn't place his finger on who, and what the strange feeling was. The Nara's focus returned to the sensei when the final kunoichi, Mizuri, entered the classroom. "Sorry that I'm late, sensei," Mizuri shouted, panting. "It's fine," the sensei said. "Moving on, we'll assign genin teams. 3 of you genin will be assigned in a cell under a jonin sensei. Each cell will go on missions together, and you guys can participate in the chunin exams to get promoted to chunin, when your team will work less together and will be assigned to a different squadron depending on the assigned mission. Naruto felt the excitement filling the entire room. Everyone was pumped to be assigned their teams and become full-fledged ninja. Anxiousness was also present in the room, the bodies of some genin tensing up in fear of being assigned to a bad team. Team 1. Mizuri, Swike, and Karada. Your sensei will be Heki. The sensei announced, the new 7 swordsmen not paying attention until someone noteworthy was called. Team 10. Nowaki, Kimimaro, and Mizuno. Your sensei will be AO. The 3 strong genin cheered, high-fiving each other at the strong matchup and experienced sensei. However, they would be disappointed. Team 12. Naruto Uzumaki, Hakuyuki, and Shikamaru Nara. Your sensei will be Kisame Hashigaki. The sensei said, failing to notice the excitement on the faces of the 3, especially Naruto. Team 13 is still in circulation. Team 14. Mangetsu Hozuki, Sujetsu Hozuki, and Ramaru. Your sensei will be Jinin Akabino. Mangetsu's teammates. You will be assigned a new teammate on the orders of a higher-up. Nobody important paid attention. All of the more powerful ninja, already called by the sensei. After a few more minutes of rambling, the teacher stopped informing the students of their teams. Now that I've finished, your sensei will be coming to pick you up. The teacher said before body flickering away. Gradually, the Jonin came to pick their students up for briefing, except for Ao, Kisame, and Jinin. The 9 strongest genin loitered around the room, Team 10 undergoing a standoff against Sujetsu, who had beat them out in the competition. Mangetsu didn't bother to defend his little brother, trusting that Sujetsu would be able to deal with them. After a brief wait, the 3 Jonin entered the room through a body flicker using water chakra. Ao took his team out of the academy to do introductions, but Kisame and Jinin stayed behind. Normally, Jinin and I would bring our own teams to a different location to do introductions, Kisame said, grinning, but today we're doing something different. The 7 of us and the 7 of you will meet at the training ground in your compound to do introductions instead, as the old 7 swordsmen and the new 7 swordsmen. The genin didn't move. What are you waiting for? Let's go, Jinin said, as he grabbed his 3 genin, Kisame echoing his movements. In a small vortex of water chakra, the 2 genin teams disappeared in a body flicker. In a swirl of water, the new 7 swordsmen, accompanied by Kisame Hashigaki and Jinin Akabino, appeared in the new 7 swordsman compound. Just like one of a clan, the estate was square in shape, the walls which also functioned as living spaces surrounding a large training area. Because of the importance of the new 7 swordsmen to the recently developed Kiri, the compound was like one of an esteemed clan, with a majestic shrine-like entrance and everything a clan needed. Despite the fact that there were only 7 of swordsmen residing in the compound, plus the occasional visit by mainly their masters, the estate rivaled that of the Mizukichi. Oh, hey guys, Naruto said, still unsure of the names of all of the veteran swordsmen. Because of him just joining Kirigakure yesterday, Naruto still had no clear idea of anyone's names. The only thing that he was absolutely clear about was that Mei was the Mizukichi, but even so, he did not know her name. Naruto could only vaguely remember the names of his fellow new swordsmen. The excited youngster hoped that the introductions would help. Both the new and old swordsmen took a seat in the training area in the center of the estate. We're doing introductions, right? Amiri asked Zabuza, who just nodded in reply. What do we have to say? Haku asked. Name, likes, dislikes, and dreams for the future. Chojuro replied, having done it before when he was a genin. I'll start. My name is Chojuro, and I like Kinjutsu and Kirigakure. I hate people who want to harm Mizukichi-sama, and my dream for the future is to become as strong as Mizukichi-sama. You next, Kisame said, pointing at Haku. His team member nodded in compliance. My name is Hakuyuki. Haku said, figuratively moving the ice in front of her away. I like Zabuza-sama and I dislike killing. My dream for the future is to be able to protect. Seeing Kisame's finger pointed at him, Shikamaru reluctantly began to speak. This is a drag. My name is Shikamaru Nara. I like staring at clouds and playing shogi. My dislikes? Never bother to think about them. Everything is just too troublesome. Dreams, well, I do dream a lot when I'm asleep, so this is an unmotivated one. Jinpachi Minashi thought about his apprentice. I wonder why Shibuki chose him. He must have some special ability or something. My blade wouldn't choose someone useless. Before anyone could be chosen next, Suigetsu instantly began his introduction without worrying about the consequences of his actions. The eager teen could not wait any longer. Fortunately for him, none came. My name is Suigetsu Hozuki. I like killing and fighting, as well as swords and different kinds of blades. I hate useless people, and when Mangetsu is annoying, and my dream for the future is to master my sword and defeat Mangetsu. So I got a sadistic one. Zabuza thought, a small grin creeping onto his masked face. I like him. Ashamed of his little brother's actions, Mangetsu sighed and was forced by his stubbornness to go next. I am sorry for Suigetsu's rash actions, he stated, catching a glare from his younger brother. My name is Mangetsu Hozuki. I like Kirigakure. I dislike when Suigetsu is too rash, and my dream for the future is to become the strongest swordsman in the land. My name is Ramaru, said Ninja said, his quiet volume showing his timid personality. I like my eyes, my village, and curry. I dislike the Kekii Jinkai purges, and my dream for the future is to become a strong ninja so that I can protect Kirigakure. Seeing as he was the final one, Naruto's brain began to spin as he started his introduction. My name is Naruto Uzumaki. I love instant ramen in a cup, as well as a few nice bowls of miso ramen. I dislike how it takes 3 minutes for instant ramen to cook, which is an instant, and my dream is Naruto had left Konoha, so his dream of becoming Hokage was null and void. To become an extremely strong ninja, so that everyone can acknowledge me, even the people in Konoha. Finally, all 7 of the new 7 swordsmen had finished their introductions. Naturally, everyone's gazes turned to the old 7 swordsmen. One of the old 7 began clapping, and the others followed suit. Everyone was focused back on reality when Kisame, the obvious leader and strongest ninja out of them all, began speaking. The Shark Man said, clapping his hands. Even the sounds of his palms colliding radiated power. For the sake of time, we will only tell you our names, and we will do a detailed introduction to our students only. After all, we still have to do 2 more things. The basic water jutsu for everyone except Mangetsu and Chojuro, and personal training with your swords. I am Kisame Hashigaki, former wielder of Samahata. Mine is Jinin Akabino, former user of Kabutawari. I am Ganryu, former wielder of Hiramakarei. The name's Jinpachi Minashi. My former sword is Shibuki Kushimaru Kuriare. Nuabari. I am Zabuza Momochi, the former wielder of Kobikurabocho. My name is Amiri Ringo of Kiba. Is everyone clear? Kisame's voice echoed throughout the training grounds, instilling fear into the non-compliant. The nods of everyone confirmed it. Good. We'll begin with the most basic water release ninjutsu, the Raging Waves Jutsu. Chojuro, Mangetsu, go work on harder water jutsu with your sensei, Jinin and Ganryu. Zabuza, you're in charge of the lesson. Zabuza nodded, before beginning educating the youngsters on how to perform the jutsu. All of the old 7 swordsmen were well aware of Zabuza's teaching skill, having been Haku's teacher for over 7 years. This jutsu is a requirement, even if water release is not your affinity. Anyways, the hand seals for this jutsu are dragon, in a tiger, into hare. All of the new swordsmen weave the seals, their individual masters ensuring that they did it correctly. Zabuza nodded before continuing. After that, you bring the water chakra in your body up to your mouth in a large amount, before releasing it in one blast. It's normal not to get it in one try, so take as long as you would like. If you are done, work on your kenjutsu with your sensei. Because of his unique Kekii Jinkai, coupled with his strong water affinity, Suigetsu nailed the jutsu in one try. Haku was a close second, her past training in chakra control helping her a lot. After them were Shikamaru and Ramaru. However, as hard as he tried, Naruto couldn't do the jutsu at all. Frustration slowly washed over Naruto, upset that he couldn't perform the jutsu. Seeing his disciples' troubles, Kisame walked over to give his advice. I think your chakra reserves are too large for you to be able to perform such a small-scale jutsu, Kisame said, understanding the trouble that monstrous chakra reserves brought to any young shinobi. Try this jutsu instead. Tiga, Ox, Tiga, Hot. The water bomb jutsu uses more chakra and is stronger. Sure enough, this time, water actually came out of Naruto's mouth. The excited teenager thanked Kisame relentlessly, the shark man just chuckling at Naruto's response. Thankfully, after a few tries, Naruto nailed the jutsu. Now, it's time to train with Samehada. Kisame said, "Before we do anything, I have 3 things to point out. First of all, you need to work on your chakra control. Secondly, you can use the Shadow Clone Jutsu to speed up your training. Lastly, you need to work on your physical strength." Naruto nodded, noting down Kisame's points. "What do you mean I can use Shadow Clone Jutsu to speed up training?" "Make 100 Shadow Clones right now," Kisame said, and Naruto did it right away. "Then, tell one of them to do the Water Bomb Jutsu and dispel it." Naruto instantly obeyed, spawning clones from his chakra. His clone spewed a large torrent of water out of its mouth before it was dispelled. The clone's memories washed over Naruto's mind like a wave crashing over the sandy shores of a beach. "Oh!" Naruto exclaimed. "I can use my clones to learn new jutsu." "Exactly," Kisame said. "Naruto, tell 50 of your clones to try to walk up that tree over there." "Got it," Naruto said. "But how am I supposed to do that?" "Like this," Kisame said, channeling a continuous flow of chakra to his legs. The ninja swiftly walked up the tree before dangling upside down on a branch and flipping to his feet. You send a continuous flow of chakra to your legs so you can walk up. "All right, I'm going to do this, Databayo," Naruto shouted enthusiastically. "We're eventually going to have to deal with his overly excited personality," Kisame thought. "This will only slow him down on missions." 50 clones ran over to practice chakra control before Naruto asked Kisame about his next point. "How do I work on taijutsu?" "Run laps and do physical training with weights on," Kisame said. "We'll work on this before we start kinjutsu. Before that though, I need to address one thing." Naruto's face morphed into a puzzled face, showing his confusion at Kisame's words. Kisame grinned in excitement as he waited to build up suspense. "We're going to find out your chakra nature." Kisame's grin penetrated Naruto's smile, giving him a strange feeling about what was to come. When Kisame mentioned chakra nature, Naruto's first thought was the water bomb jutsu. The next thing that came to mind was a memory from his time at the Kirigakure Academy, when Irika asked the people who knew jutsu to perform a jutsu. Sasuke, being the stuck-up brat that he was, had showed off his most powerful jutsu, the fireball jutsu. Using ninja logic, Naruto knew that revealing his jutsu arsenal was a bad idea, but the show-off had done it anyways. His attention shifted to Kisame as the tailless-tailed beast explained chakra natures to the boy. Chakra natures are basically when you mold your chakra in a certain way to allow you to perform elemental jutsu. Everyone's chakra is a certain nature. The nature that your chakra is known as your elemental affinity, which means that you can perform jutsu of the affinity easier than others. Kisame explained, synthesizing as much information as possible into a short explanation. For example, the water bomb jutsu is water release, so people with an affinity for water release will be able to perform it easier. "Cool," Naruto said, expressing his excitement towards elemental ninjutsu. Naruto received the piece of paper that Kisame passed to him with confusion. "What's this for?" "This is for finding out your chakra nature," Kisame answered. "You infuse your chakra into the paper, and depending on what the paper does, you can determine your chakra affinity. If the paper wrinkles, you have a lightning affinity. If the paper burns, you have a fire affinity. If the paper crumbles to dust, you have an earth affinity. If the paper is sliced apart, you have a wind affinity. And if the paper becomes wet, you have a water affinity. Try it." Excitedly, Naruto infused a slight touch of his chakra into the chakra paper. Surprising everyone, Naruto had 2 affinities. Kisame's jaw dropped open at what happened to the paper. The paper's first reaction to Naruto's chakra was shredding itself into barely visible bits. This alone already shocked Kisame, but what happened next was equally astounding. One of the larger bits was so wet that it crumbled from the amount of water in the paper. This second affinity was also surprising, From the chakra paper alone, Kisame could begin to glimpse the potential that this ninja had. He knew that he had made a good decision in choosing the Uzumaki. You have an insanely powerful wind affinity and a slightly weaker water affinity, Kisame said, still reeling from the shock that came with the power of Naruto's elemental affinities. The water affinity that Naruto possessed was on the level of Kisame's own, but the additional wind release affinity that surpassed his water release affinity doubled his power. Awesome, Naruto said. All of a sudden, Naruto's mind began flooding with memories. Looks like my clones dispelled. They mastered the tree walking technique. Good job, Kisame replied. Now, create 101 more clones to work on other exercises. Naruto performed the clone seal as the 101 clones poofed into existence from Naruto's humongous chakra reserves. All of the clones awaited further instructions from Naruto, standing next to the 49 and used clones. All right, we'll now work on controlling your wind and water affinities, as well as another chakra control exercise, Kisame said, tossing 100 of the clones' leaves. The clones that didn't get leaves go work on water walking. It's basically tree walking, but on water. It's harder because the water moves. Tell 50 of the clones with leaves to use wind chakra to split the leaf in half. The other 50 should use water chakra to try and draw the water out of the leaf. Naruto gave Kisame's commands to his clones, who went off to begin practicing. The blonde Uzumaki shook in exhilaration, eager to learn more and improve his abilities. As for you, Naruto, I will begin working on Kenjutsu basics with you. We'll do more Kenjutsu and the second stage of wind and water chakra control tomorrow, as well as physical training. Kisame detailed the lesson plan with his student, increasing Naruto's excitement by a considerable amount. What even is Kenjutsu? The Uzumaki asked, having paid no attention during his time in the academy. Unbeknownst to the Uzumaki, his mother, Kushina Uzumaki, was one of the greatest Kenjutsu masters in her time. Kenjutsu are techniques that utilize swords and can be used in conjunction with other forms of jutsu to amplify its effectiveness, Kisame informed, pointing to Samehada strapped onto Naruto's back. Normally, I use ninjutsu to make my attacks more smooth and devastating, but in your case, using wind chakra to improve your blade is more efficient. That's for another day, though. In your friend Ramaru's case, his blade's Kiba uses lightning release extremely potently. The blades make up itself, amplifying lightning chakra when used on the blade. Oh! Naruto edit Kisame's statement, marveling at the wonder that was Kenjutsu. But first, the basic Kenjutsu katas. We'll work with a katana for the sake of today, Kisame said. First, the slash. Kisame tossed Naruto a wooden katana to practice with, before showing the Konoha defector a basic slash. Kisame sliced his blade from up to down at a diagonal angle, repeatedly showing Naruto the basic action. But isn't the wooden katana too weak to do anything with? Naruto asked. Shouldn't we be using metal katanas? Trust me, even the simplest wooden katana is enough in the hands of a skilled swordsman, Kisame reassured Naruto, especially when you enhance it with chakra, such as your wind chakra. Ku dash. Ku what? Naruto wondered out loud, but Kisame stopped himself in time. Never mind. Anyways, let's work on the slash. You bring your blade from up to down at a diagonal angle, trying to cut the target up, Kisame instructed. Naruto gripped his katana tightly, no signs of his hand shaking evident in his grip. Both his hands locked onto the hilt of the blade as he brought his blade down. For some reason, the motion didn't look and feel smooth, like a regular slash should be. Kisame pointed at Naruto's hands. Your grip is too tight. Loosen it a bit. And also, using only one hand is good because you can use jutsu with one-handed seals when you learn them, Kisame suggested, and Naruto complied. Naruto's grip weakened, maintaining an extremely loose grip. With one hand, he brought the katana down towards the ground. Kisame clapped his hands. Much better, Kisame said, but your slash motion is still weak. Try a different form of slash. The standard is the one I showed you just now, but you can adjust it. The slash is pretty much just you bringing your blade in a diagonal angle to try to gash your target. So like this, Naruto said, bringing his blade from down to up the opposite of a standard slash. Yes, exactly like that, Kisame exclaimed, thrilled with his student's quick progress. Naruto's backward slash was extremely fluid and polished, with great potential. With a regular blade, the backward slash would have the blunt side or possibly sharp side penetrate the skin around the chin, but with Samehada, which had ragged scales on all sides, the backward slash would shave off the skin instead. To increase the effectiveness, do a proper slash before doing the backward slash out of the blue to surprise the enemy. With a loose grip, Naruto brought his blade down in a sloppy proper slash before suddenly reversing the action. Naruto grinned at his newly discovered kenjutsu technique. Practice that later. First, we'll do the pierce, Kisame said. He brought the sharp end of his blade and jabbed it forwards. Do the same action as me. Naruto and Kisame repeatedly practiced the pierce, jabbing at the thin air in front of them. A triumphant smirk made its way onto Naruto's face as both mentor and student performed a basic kenjutsu move. Say, you want to spar before dinner? Naruto requested, excited at an opportunity to refine his skills. Sure, brat, Kisame said, planning to go easy on him, but not too easy, to give his disciple a chance to improve. Grabbing his wooden sword, Kisame's brain whirred into thoughts. He reminds me of an opponent I fought many years ago. His catchphrase and personality are so reminiscent of that opponent, and she had the very same clan crest on her vest. Her name? Kushina Uzumaki. Naruto and Kisame took their stances. Naruto utilizing an unorthodox and untraditional stance that just came to mind. Come at me with the intent to kill. Begin, Kisame said, preparing to fight on Genin level. He would be surprised at the versatility of the blonde. Quickly, Naruto began with a basic jab, which Kisame parried by rotating the blade so that the side of the blade made contact with the pierce move. Kisame returned to pierce, but the resourceful Uzumaki layered his blade atop Kisame's and pushed it downwards, lunging at Kisame. Ugh, Kisame said, as the blade grazed the side of his body, having dodged a millisecond too late. Not bad, kid. Kisame placed his blade in front of him, but before he could launch any attacks, Naruto was already on the offensive. Naruto feinted, causing Kisame to dodge to the left, but his true attack was at the direction Kisame was moving towards. Again, the wooden blade hit Kisame. Naruto slashed normally, the attack still not as effective as it should be, but the attack enticed a reaction from Kisame. Seeing his opponent's response, Naruto plunged his blade into Kisame's gut area, the wooden blade not hurting as much as a proper blade. Unfortunately for Naruto, Kisame had noticed his natural talent for kenjutsu and his ability as a beginner, causing the old seven swordsman to increase his ability level to that of a chunin. Naruto faked a jab, twirling his wrist around for a delayed attack. Naruto's blade traveled through the air towards Kisame. Kisame turned out of the way, finding himself about to be hit by Naruto's backward slash. Naruto's sword sliced through the air, traveling from his left leg up towards his right shoulder. I've got you, Databeo, Naruto shouted, as the blunt edge of his katana separated the air around it. Anticipating the backward slash, Kisame's head tilted backwards, barely missing the katana. Trying to mix in lessons with the friendly spar, Kisame cocked his head sideways, taunting his opponent. You've got to do better than that. Kisame's scoff enticed Naruto's hot head into giving a reaction. The blonde began furiously mixing his sloppy slashes with the backward slashes that were more than 100 times better, none of his attacks even touching Kisame. In a battle, expect psychological warfare, Kisame advised. Keep your emotions in control. Naruto continued his useless barrage of offensive, his mind slowly absorbing Kisame's advice. As Naruto finally mixed in a jab with his attacks, Kisame struck. Kisame's blade brutally assaulted Naruto. All of Kisame's attacks met Naruto's body. In contrast with Naruto's disorganized and messy attacks, Kisame's combos decimated Naruto. Surrender yet? The master asked the student, cockiness evident in his voice. Never, Naruto answered confidently, having recovered from his outburst of emotions. In addition to his emotional recovery, his body had healed from the bruises thanks to his Uzumaki healing factor as well as the nine-tailed fox. Good, Kisame smirked, preparing himself for a second wave of attacks, but Naruto gave him no time to react. The blonde immediately launched himself into sword strikes, mixing the pierce and the slash in a downward slash that involved Naruto flicking his wrist mid-swing so that the sharp point of the blade faced Kisame's chest. Kisame tried to block the new attack, but to no avail. The timing Naruto flicked his wrist could potentially vary, increasing the chance of a badly timed block which would end in the target receiving the hit. With his quick instincts, Kisame got the timing right and finally managed to stop one of Naruto's pierce/combo. Even with his sense intentionally dulled by purposely lowering his ability level, Kisame was still ever as dangerous. This boy, Kisame thought. He's a once-in-50-years Kenjutsu prodigy. He is close to Chunin level in Kenjutsu, and his strategic sense is quite strong. Naruto excitedly smiled, adrenaline rushing through his body. His already fast heartbeat increased in speed, the blood rushing through his veins at high speeds. Even though most of his education had been messed up by the demon-hating instructors, his genius was enough to sustain him for the time being. Naruto had inherited both his father's genius and his mother's knack for Kenjutsu. This is fun, Naruto thought, his brain thinking at full speed of strategies to defeat his opponent. He knew of the vast superiority of his master, but he ached for victory. After all, his short time at Kirigakure and observing Shikamaru's strategy at the Land of Waves had already changed him from a rash ninja into a more calculating ninja, finally realizing the effectiveness of strategy and smarts over raw power. Naruto continued mixing his slashes, back slashes, jabs, and jab slashes into a combo, but his opponent's skills slowly began overwhelming him. After all, Kisame was S-ranked in the bingo book, and his Kenjutsu as well as ninjutsu and taijutsu skill was unrivaled among his comrades in the old Seven Swordsmen. Kisame blocked and parried Naruto's strikes, his unnatural instincts protecting him from Naruto's unpredictability. Even though they were using wooden katanas, the level and power of the attacks were close to that of a steel katana. As Naruto launched another backslash, Kisame's body flickered behind him, using his blade's hilt to knock out Naruto. Kisame basked in the glory of victory. Even though Naruto was beat by a simple ninjutsu kenjutsu combination, Kisame knew that with practice, Naruto would easily become one of the best in the land. Blurry from getting knocked out, Naruto's eyes snapped open, the blonde jolting upwards surprisedly. His brain began flooding with the memories of the shadow clones that had dispelled when he had been knocked out, his clones having mastered the level 1 wind chakra exercise and coming close to the water chakra exercise. What happened? All I knew was that you were gone when my attack was supposed to make contact, and then I blacked out. I used a combo of ninjutsu and kenjutsu, Kisame informed. I teleported behind you and knocked you out. In the future, you need to work on awareness, as well as ninjutsu, so that you can stop these from happening to you while performing them on others. Naruto nodded, taking Kisame's notes into consideration. Overall, very good job. Much better than I expected. Kisame complimented. With lots of practice and hard work, you can become very, very strong. Thanks a lot, Kisame-sensei. Naruto replied enthusiastically. Also, I think my clones managed to master the wind chakra exercise. They didn't master the water one yet, though. Want me to try? You need a break, Kisame said, as the other 7 swordsmen began gathering over Naruto's finally conscious body. Get dinner first before you do optional individual training. Your teammates are waiting. Got it, Naruto exclaimed before standing up. So, are we getting ramen? Something even better. Barbecue. Suigetsu informed Naruto. We already got a table. Ramen, barbecue, ramen, barbecue. Mangetsu sighed, as Suigetsu and Naruto quarreled over which was the better food. Annoying little brothers. A messenger hawk flew into Mei's office, carrying a letter from a foreign village. Dropping both the letter and some guano on Mei's table, the hawk immediately exited through the window. Mei groaned at the bird droppings on her cedar table, the delicate and smooth texture stained with a few white polka dots. Her head swapped back to more important matters. What's this? Mei wondered, as she unsealed the letter from its protective seal. The scroll unraveled open to reveal a letter to Kirigakure from Konoha, written by the old monkey Hiruzen Sarutobi himself. Interesting, Mei noted. requesting the return of the Scroll of Seals, the Kyubi Jinchuriki, and the Nara Air. The Scroll of Seals I can do, as long as we copy down the techniques, but the two requested shinobi are a no-go. Reading through the message, Mei determined that the message was not an ultimatum, and hence could be ignored. However, Mei knew that it was now important to protect Naruto and Shikamaru from Konoha abductors. Slug, Orca, she called, her stern voice summoning two of her most trusted ANBU. One of them her head of ANBU. First of all, Slug, get AO here right now, and when he goes to do his job, ensure that he does it correctly and completely. Second of all, Orca, I'm assigning you to supervise the new additions to the village, Naruto Uzumaki and Shikamaru Nara. I'm expecting Konoha Ninja to try to return them to Konoha, but they are now Kirigakure Ninja, which means that they are under our village's protection. Yes, Mizuki-sama, Slug and Orca replied, both ANBU officers' body flickering away to perform their duties. Soon, AO arrived, awaiting orders from Mizuki. Mei handed the Scroll of Seals to AO, who she knew was adept at Fuinjutsu due to his eye patch seals. Your job is simple. Replicate Hashirama Senju's Scroll of Seals for Kirigakure. Mei ordered, and AO nodded. The Byakugan killer caught the Scroll of Seals before teleporting to the Mizuki library with an empty scroll in hand. Mei rubbed her palms together, returning to her dreaded paperwork. The professor, Hiruzen Sarutobi, sat in his chair, relieved that he finally received a well-needed break from paperwork. Eagle and his team of sensory ANBU had returned from their S-rank mission with the target. ANBU leave, Hiruzen ordered, before activating the privacy seals in the room. So, what do you need me for, Sarutobi-sensei? The man that the ANBU had retrieved questioned. The Nine-Tails Jinchuriki as well as heir to the Uzumaki clan has disappeared, captured by Kirigakure Ninja. The Sandaime Hokage informed his disciple. I need you to use your spy network to try and gather information and eventually retrieve him. After all, he's your godson, isn't he? Yes, I understand, Sarutobi-sensei. Jiraiya replied. I will attempt to bring him back to the village, but please expect to wait for a while. Please do it as soon as possible. Konoha also needs to keep up the facade that we still have the Nine-Tails. Hiruzen begged, and his apprentice nodded. Understood, Jiraiya answered, before he left the Hokage Tower in a puff of smoke. Naruto's eyes snapped open, 3 months having passed since his defection to Kirigakure. In these 3 months, Naruto had made major improvements in Kenjutsu, and his ninjutsu as well as taijutsu had considerably improved. His personality had become more ninja-like, not as easily annoyed and more. Naruto changed into his jumpsuit, ready for mission day. The young blonde strapped on the Kirigakure Hittite onto his head, the dark blue cloth perfectly matching his newly bought black jumpsuit. The orange is too flashy and will get you killed, Kisame had said when he went to the ninja equipment shop with Naruto. Naruto strapped Samehada to his back, the bandaged blade thirsting for more action. Real action. Naruto hummed to himself, already envisioning the smell of instant ramen in his head. Unfortunately for him, today's breakfast was not what he hoped for. On the table was a piece of bread with a fried egg on top, disappointing the new Seven Swordsmen. On the positive side, however, was the fact that today was Mission Day, which was once a month. Each team of new Seven Swordsmen, with the exception of Chojuro, such as Naruto's team under Kisame and Mangetsu's team under Jinin, would leave the village on a mission, starting with C ranks, which advanced to B ranks, and now, where they were at. A rank missions. Eat up. Today's Mission Day. Mangetsu advised Naruto, even though he was in a different cell. After all, the lives of comrades, especially ones carrying your national treasure, mattered. Naruto gulped down one piece of the bread, refilling his plate with more and wolfing down another 5 pieces. His monstrous appetite truly was out of this world. I'm ready. Naruto forced out, his mouth still full of food. Manners, Chojuro berated him. You guys still have half an hour before you have to get to the village gates. Got it? Naruto replied, the food in his mouth already forced down his throat by his tongue. Time flew like birds. In the blink of an eye, half an hour had already passed, and the group was already at the mission assignment station. Kisame and Jinin were already awaiting their teams, standard katanas replacing the 7 swords. First things first, Mei announced to her new 7 swordsmen. Jinan's team, your mission will be to guard the village's diplomat to the capital. Could you please come in? The door near the mission office opened as a man wearing white robes stepped inside. Even though he is not a ninja, he is the village's most skilled speaker. Mei said, "Hello. My name is Moyashur, one of Kirigakure's top diplomats." The man said, "You'll be risking your life and limbs to deliver me to the capital. So do your best. Do you understand your mission?" Mei asked, met with nods from Jinan's team. "All right, you may go now." Jinan grabbed the diplomat, as each and every member of his squadron channeled their chakra to their hands and into the teleportation seal, transporting them to the above-water decoy village. The transportation seal was Kirigakure's very best attempt at replicating the flying thunder god. Kiri's seal masters failed, only managing to create a transportation seal. However, it was good enough, and soon, with the reign of the 5th Mizukage, it had become a gateway from a decoy village to the true village. And Kisame squad. Mei continued, "Your mission will be to deliver this scroll to Kirigakure. Their leader has been requesting an alliance with us, so your mission is to deliver the reply. This is A-ranked." Finally, an exciting mission, Databeo. Naruto said, determined to complete it. "You may go now," Mei said, and Kisame's team disappeared into the seal. Orca, stay behind. Out of the corner of Naruto's protector's eye, he noticed the Jonin next to Mei sending information into a seal. Orca materialized a Sunbon out of thin air, and it hit the Jonin dead on. "Traitor," he told Mei, and a quick glance at what was in the Jonin's hand was enough proof. But it was too late. "Ensure that he survives the mission. Am I clear?" Mei asked Orca. "Yes, ma'am," the AMBU officer replied, before beginning his pursuit of Naruto's team. Mei sighed as her new 7 swordsmen set off on their missions. This was valuable experience for them, and it would definitely pay off in the future. As hard as the missions may be, she still had insurance. Her capable old swordsmen, the more powerful ones easily on Kaga level. They could fend off most opponents. But an ominous feeling slowly took shape in her gut, and she silently prayed that her shinobi would be okay. Kisame and his subordinates, consisting of the wielders of Samahata, Shibuki, and Nuabari, darted across the water at lightning-fast speed, their backs facing the way they came, which was Kirigakure. Their mission was to deliver the scroll, and the veteran Jonin had plenty of experience with traitors. After all, his master, Fuguki Suikazan, had been leaking information. Kisame struck him down and took his blade easily, showing how much the dead swordsman had slacked off. Fuguki had been the only survivor of the Might Due encounter, all of Kisame's alive comrades having taken their blades after the incident. Kisame knew that the faster the package was delivered, the smaller the chance of failure or interception would be. Fortunately, all 3 ninja, including the lazy Nara, were channeling chakra to their feet, speeding them up by a considerate amount. Shikamaru had needed a little bit of convincing, though. "So, Kisame-sensei, where are we heading? Isn't the faster route through the Land of Fire?" Naruto asked curiously. "It's for your safety," Kisame thought, but his mouth expressed a different response. "Let's just say that the Land of Fire route increases the chance of an enemy party intercepting our delivery." Naruto nodded, understanding that enemy run-ins would slow the journey down more than taking a longer route. During the 3 months of training, Naruto had learned more about the shinobi mindset and how to think strategically, albeit that he still had some of that brash and annoying attitude deep inside. Both his teammates were also good strategists, especially the Nara. Because of the incompatibility between the unmotivated Shikamaru and the overexcited Jinpachi, Jinpachi and Kushimaru sometimes swapped students, and Kushimaru had conducted a few tests. From these, and records about Shikamaru's clan, Kushimaru had determined that Shikamaru's IQ was over 200. Meanwhile, Haku had learned a lot from Zabuza, who was one of Kirigakure's strongest shinobi. Saving Zabuza's neck with the Hunterine mask really helped her out a lot. Zabuza's sometimes recklessness forced her, as a tool, to think fast and think smart. It was out of this necessity that she developed the trick of faking being a Kirigakure Hunterine, although the need was negated when Zabuza accepted the offer to return to Kirigakure. The group veered left, continuing their long travel to the hidden grass village, performing more maneuvers to evade the huge peninsula in front of them. This land belonged to the Land of Fire, And it was dangerous for not just Naruto, but the entire team if they stepped foot in a single centimeter of Land of Fireland. Bored, Naruto attempted to converse with his comrades. So, how do you feel about Kirigakure? It's fine, but talking about it is too troublesome. Shikamaru gave him a blunt reply, one typical of a Nara. I think that it is worth protecting. Haku replied sternly. I agree. Naruto gave his judgment on the issue. Plus, the people here have no grudge against me. Unlike in Konoha, Shikamaru remembered seeing Naruto bullied by the other children, Sakura punching him for no reason, the instructors glaring at the blonde boy, and Naruto, the only child left, waiting for the parents that weren't there. The angry villagers giving Naruto cold stares, unwilling to sell him even everyday items. It was because of Irika, the Hokage, and the kind people at the Ichiraku ramen stall that Naruto could bear the pain, and now he was finally free. Shikamaru thought about how it would have felt like to leave the village that hated him, and he came to a conclusion. When Naruto left Konoha, his shackles were broken. The team of Kirigakure ninja continued their dash towards the mainland. Naruto's eyes glimmered with hope as he finally sighted dry land up ahead. Kisame examined the sight in his eyes and determined that it wasn't a genjutsu. As soon as Naruto's foot scraped a single drop of soil, he cheered out loud. Dry land, Databeo, he exclaimed. Finally, Kisame silenced the blonde with a glare, signaling that it wasn't a good idea to alert potential enemies. Even the slightest sound could give a skilled sensor ninja a very clear picture of where their target was, and all it took was an ambush to knock them out, or even kill them. After another hour of running, the four shinobi finally reached civilization. It was a village, a ninja village, in fact. The village was Tanigakure, the village hidden in the valleys. The wide doors welcomed the Kirigakure ninja in, Kisame still wary of their surroundings. All of a sudden, a dark chuckling was heard by everyone in the team. Team 10 instantly got in a high alert, unsheathing, unbuckling, or grabbing their swords. So, these are Kirigakure shinobi wielding the 7 swords. A voice chuckled. What an honor it is to meet you, monster of the hidden mist Kisame Hashigaki. I look forward to our fight. With that, 5 Hite less shinobi appeared out of the shadows, 2 of them emitting a stronger chakra signature than the other 3. For Kage-sama, Jiraiya, and the 2 shinobi he had brought in tow cursed. We missed them. Damn it, Jiraiya said. Calm down. A cold female voice answered. We can camp here and ambush them because they will come back this way. They don't want to risk passing the Land of Fire, where the Fire Daimyo and Konoha have jurisdiction in. I understand, but Jiraiya answered, shaking his head. This place is deserted. Where will I do my beloved research? Kisame cussed, angry at himself for missing the telltale signs that the village was a trap. First of all, the gates were wide open with no gate guards. It was a shinobi village, for heaven's sake. Any ninja village would place gate guards, usually chunin of rank. Second of all, there was nobody to be seen. This was true only for Kiri, but for the other villages such as Konoha, the entrance led into bustling streets pouring with people. And because he missed these obvious signs, he and his team had to battle foreign shinobi. Kisame closed his eyes, attempting to focus his chakra into his ears. Enhancing his already powerful sensory capabilities and heightened senses, Kisame's ears picked up the rough power levels of the enemy shinobi and barked out orders in response. I'll take the 2 taller ones. You guys take the other 3 in a separate area. Be careful. They've had time to lay traps. Immediately, katana in hand, Kisame blocked a staff strike by the first of his targets, swinging his foot around to try and sweep the legs of his second enemy. His eyes saw his team darting off to confront the 3 other enemies. Seeing one of Kirigakure's top ANBU, Orca, following his genin, a look of confidence brandished itself on Kisame's face for a short moment. The blank-masked shinobi used this as a window of opportunity, launching a volley of attacks at the former wielder of Samahata. Earth-style, Earth-dragon, Earth-style, flying stones. Sharp rocks flew across the battlefield, aimed at Kisame. The attack forced Kisame to body flicker away from the stones, right into the range of the first shinobi's attack. I've got you now, the first shinobi said, as his huge rock dragon materialized out of his earth chakra, as well as the soil and earth scattered all over the battlefield. The dragon leapt, attempting to bite the swordsman with his teeth, but Kisame quickly twisted his wrist, his wind-infused sword slicing the shards of rock, forming the teeth into shreds. After all, Kisame knew 4 out of the 5 basic elements and had mastered 3 of them: water, wind, and earth. You got to try harder than that. Kisame taunted, his katana drawn in front of him. His laid-back stance mocked the shinobi, enticing them into attacking Kisame in a full-on taijutsu assault. The 2 masked shinobi lunged, their hands already in hand seals. One of them had solidified their arm into rock, the other still weaving his seals. Suddenly, Kisame disappeared. The enemy ninja cursed as Kisame reappeared behind them, katana drawn. Kisame raised his blade, ready to decapitate his enemies, but his target's quick thinking saved them. Both ninja ducked under the katana strike, but Kisame rotated the sword into a straight-down slash. Earth-style, dark swamp. The enemies quickly created mud using the ground below them. Kisame's slash barely grazing the first enemy's arm. "Shoot! Mole, handle them!" The first enemy ordered, slowly recovering from his attack. "Understood, Snake." Mole replied, forming hand seals at a quick pace. "This is getting boring," Kisame stated, making it clear that he wasn't trying at all. Heart, spine, lungs, kidney, larynx, jugular vein, collarbone, and liver. "Which point do I hit first?" "Earth-style, earthquake slam." Mole announced, his arms slammed onto the ground. Cracks began forming across the battlefield, towers of rock slowly emerging from the ground to impale Kisame, as well as create a more favorable battlefield for the earth release using ninja. "Lungs it is," Kisame said, expelling huge amounts of fog into the clear battlefield, weakening the sight of his enemies. "Hidden mist jutsu." "Earth-style, iron skin," Mole said, encasing his body with earth chakra, nullifying Kisame's quick stab to the heart. The Imbu-level shinobi followed up with a chakra-enhanced punch, Kisame quickly parrying with his sword. The 2 active shinobi began a fierce taijutsu exchange, punches and kicks being delivered as both ninja battled it out. Sparks began to fly, until finally, another ninjutsu shook the battlefield. "Earth-style, doomquake." Snake roared, his palm making contact with the uneven surface. Shards of stone were sent flying by the impact, piercing through the air towards Kisame. This jutsu was an enhanced version of the earthquake slam. Forced to dodge, Kisame weaved his way around the stone shards and Mole's taijutsu, until finally a kick grazed his cheek. "Not bad," Kisame said, but his tiny injury recovered in a second, incomparable to the high amounts of damage he had inflicted upon his opponent. A pair of hands emerged from the ground, Kisame quickly jumping up to avoid the headhunter jutsu. Midair, Kisame was met with another flurry of punches and kicks enhanced with earth chakra, which he blocked with both his arms and his katana. The skilled Kirigakure Jonin used his blade to attempt and cut off Snake's hands, but his enemy had already retreated back into the soil below. Snake reappeared behind Kisame, his staff ready to strike. Encased in a layer of stone, the staff came down on Kisame's head, meeting with Kisame's right arm. The staff snapped in half as Snake gritted his teeth in annoyance at his opponent's strength. For sharks made of water chakra rained down on the battlefield, no doubt Kisame's first usage of proper, offensive ninjutsu. Water-style, for shark shower. Kisame grinned, sadism proudly displaying itself on the face of the shark-like man. The 4 sharks soared in the sky, gnashing their teeth at the enemies. 2 of the sharks rushed at Mole, the others targeting Snake. Mole and Snake attempted to dodge Kisame's sharks, to no avail. Leaping left to avoid the 2 sharks Kisame sent at him, Mole grinned, the sharks hitting the floor and turning into water. What he didn't realize was that the sharks had already reformed, and that cost him. The newly reformed sharks rose from the ground, sending Mole off balance. Kisame used this as a window of opportunity, running towards Mole at a high speed with his katana drawn. Seeing his comrade about to get skewered, Snake rushed over, his hands morphing into hand seals at his fastest rate. Earth-style, mud wall. Snake roared, his hands hitting the ground hard. Blood was scattered the all over his fingers, The sheer power he had pumped into the slam hurting his fingers. Earth rose all around him and Mole, forming a defensive dome. The water sharks hit the dome and the water scattered. But the sheer power of Kisame's sword broke the dome by itself. Water style, water shark bomb. Kisame announced before thrusting his arm at Snake and Mole. Damn it! Snake cursed. None of the jutsu in his arsenal able to counter the incoming water shark. The shark made of water loomed over the two Earth release users, its sharp teeth threatening to penetrate their skulls. The sheer speed of the shark was enough to shock both enemies. But before the shark could gobble up and damage Snake and Mole, Snake managed to protect himself. Earth style, mud wall? Snake hollered in desperation, infusing what was left of his chakra into the defensive wall. It was now up to Mole to take out Kisame. Snake's chakra too depleted to do anything to impact the battle. The shark smashed through the mud wall with no difficulty, shocking both the Hittite-less shinobi. However, the mud wall stalled enough for Mole to launch another jutsu. Wind style, great breakthrough. Mole yelled, blowing the water away from him. Finally, you guys did something intelligent. Kisame complimented. Too bad I'll have to kill you. I'm done playing with my prey. It's time to eat. Kisame leapt at his targets, katana drawn. His enemies stood no chance from the start. Blades whirring, Kisame sliced and diced, cutting up any attacks his enemies sent at him. Kisame didn't need to infuse his blade with chakra in order to destroy his enemies. Kisame's sheer power was enough to overpower them. Snake grunted as death awaited him. He was about to be severed into pieces by one of Kirigakure's finest shinobi, Hoshigaki Kisame. Awaiting his death, Snake closed his eyes. Kisame swiftly decapitated Mole, the clean cut leaving little to no blood behind. Mole died a quick and painless death. Kisame turned his eyes to Snake, but the white-masked ANBU was gone. Kisame touched the ground, covered in mud. Too easy. Chasing him would be a waste of time. Besides, the last guy doesn't have any chakra left anyways, so he isn't a threat to us. Kisame thought to himself, as he sprinted off to observe as well as assist his genin. Snake panted, having escaped at the last possible moment with a combination of the hidden Mole jutsu and Earth style, Dark Swamp. The final shreds of energy in him were exhausted in his escape against his enemy. He desperately hoped that his enemy wouldn't come after him, because if Kisame did, he couldn't escape without backup. The strongest of his five-man party, him and Mole, were wrecked by an opponent who wasn't even trying, and he was sure that the three weaker Nin would lose, seeing how hardly he and Mole had lost. Regardless of the consequences, he still had to inform his Kage of the failure to guard the victory point and to destroy any intruders. But he knew one thing deep in his heart. Kage-sama wouldn't like these results. Not a single bit. Snake fell unconscious, finally succumbing to his chakra exhaustion. He would beat Kisame one day and avenge his fallen brother. One day, Naruto grunted as he blocked a kick to the chest from his opponent, one of the weaker enemies. He had been separated from his teammates by the three enemies, causing each of them to fight in a one-on-one battle. It was impossible to tell what village they were from, but he knew that they were skilled. After all, they were overpowering him. Kisame had estimated that he was high Chunin level at best, at worst high Genin level. After all, if you trained for 3 months under one of the strongest shinobi alive, it was hard for you to be that weak. Samehada helped a lot too. The powerful blade which could absorb chakra as well as shave instead of slice, combined with Naruto's unnaturally large chakra reserves, enhanced his ability to perform jutsu that required more chakra, and Naruto planned to take advantage of that fact. Water style, water bomb jutsu. Naruto roared as he churned water chakra in his stomach. A huge blast of water drenched his enemy in water, pushing his enemy back as well as dealing a small amount of damage. Earth style, Tajinbo. His enemy called out the name of his jutsu, his hands impacting the terrain that they were fighting on. Sharp columns of rock protruded from the ground, allowing Naruto's enemy, the ninja known as Earthworm, to gain an advantage. This also enabled the enemy shinobi to attack Naruto from his blind spots, maximizing the efficiency. Naruto quickly dodged the pillars of earth, using Samehada to slice up the columns that came to close. At one point, one column arose from right under Naruto, eliciting a response from the blonde. Naruto whirled around, chopping the pillar into bits using a wind-infused slash. Work with Kisame had perfected his slash-down-slash combo, which meant that he could now use efficient, orthodox slashes. Wind style, vacuum blast. Naruto quickly spun around, using his incredibly sharp wind chakra to rebound across the battlefield, slicing up whatever was in his way. Naruto knew that this was one of his most powerful ninjutsu, and had to use it conservatively so that he would not be predictable. Predictability was the complete opposite of his fighting style, which centered around launching unexpected but devastating strikes. Shoot! Earthworm swore, quickly spinning and dodging Naruto's wind blasts. The wind had wrecked his earth columns, minimizing the amount of space he had to hide, and expanding Naruto's field of vision. The earth around Earthworm weakened, hiding the shinobi from Naruto's eyes. Naruto's pupils darted across the battlefield in search of his opponent. Earthworm wasn't above, in front, behind, right, nor left to him. That meant that he was below him. Naruto jumped up, avoiding a pair of outstretched hands. Earthworm's arms pulled thin air into the ground, returning to his body empty-handed. Naruto moved back, avoiding the arms of Earthworm, until another pair of arms contacted his body. There he was, Earthworm, holding a kunai to Naruto's throat. Naruto inwardly swore, acknowledging that he had created clones, most likely made of earth. Immediately, Naruto's chin moved down to cover his windpipe, before spinning around to knee Earthworm in the nuts. The enemy, Shinobi, staggered backwards, recovering from the hit to the sensitive part of his body, before launching into another flurry of hand seals. Earth-style, stone column spears. Sharp rocks moved up from the ground to pierce Naruto's vitals, while Earthworm's clone leapt high in the air to kick Naruto's head. Instantaneously, Naruto substituted himself with the Earth clone, dispelling it. The substitution jutsu was the only jutsu he had learned from the Konoha Academy, along with the transformation jutsu and his creation, the sexy jutsu. "Damn it," Earthworm said, before grabbing his dual kunai and returning to a bukijutsu battle. Samehada's sheer power decimated Earthworm's kunai, shaving it to shreds within 3 hits. Combined with Naruto's insane wind affinity, cutting through even the first Rashomon would be possible with some difficulty. Wind style, great breakthrough. Naruto yelled out of the blue, a gust of wind blowing his enemy away. Unfortunately, Earthworm had already rooted himself to the ground using Earth Chakra. That left him open to an attack, which Naruto didn't deliver, instead body flickering behind him. Earthworm quickly spun around, countering the attack with another kunai, which instantly splintered into bits. One of the metal shards embedded itself into Earthworm's skin, causing the shinobi to cry out in pain. Stone clone jutsu. 5 additional stone clones emerged from the ground, the same kind as the ones he used in the hidden mold jutsu combination. 2 of the clones began engaging Naruto in vicious taijutsu, attempting to cause Naruto to gain tunnel vision. Naruto winced as one of the clones finally landed a hit. It was clear that his opponent was superior, and he would only stand a chance if he went 100%. Slowly, Naruto began increasing his effort, which in turn caused a similar response from his enemy. A pair of arms once again emerged from the ground, the clones surrounding Naruto from all directions. Naruto was forced to jump, entering the field of attack from the clone attacking from above. The real Earthworm finally appeared out of the dirt, uppercutting Naruto in the chin. A bruise formed on Naruto's chin, which quickly recovered thanks to both Naruto's Uzumaki healing factor as well as the 9 tails. The next attack rained down on him, a downwards kick from the Earth clone above. What would have been a knockout or killing blow was just a normal attack for Naruto. Earthworm continuously pelted Naruto with uppercuts as well as downward strikes from his clones, the barrage of deadly attacks slowly damaging the Kiri youth. Ugh! Naruto grunted, as he finally thought of a way to get out of this trap. He still hadn't learned the body flicker from Kisame, but out of his jutsu arsenal, he had a suitable jutsu for this escape. Water style, water prison jutsu. A spherical veil of water protected Naruto from the next attacks, causing Earthworm and his clones to slowly retreat away from the Kirigakure swordsman. Naruto landed flawlessly, the effects of the taijutsu still present on him. Bruises from the repetitive up and down pendulum combo littered Naruto's body. Naruto style, elemental clone jutsu. Naruto yelled out, leaving Earthworm clueless. What even is that? Earthworm wondered, but it was too late. Naruto's shadow, water, and wind clones littered the battlefield, a capability granted by his monstrous chakra reserves. In the hands of each clone was a replica of Samehada, weaker than the original, but strong nonetheless. Earthworm's clones began a furious barrage of attacks on the clones, dispelling the shadow clones and slowly destroying the water clones. However, Naruto's creation, the Wind Clone Jutsu, created extremely durable wind clones which, unlike the shadow clone, were not one-hit KO'd. The masked shinobi gritted his teeth, having to expend his chakra to knock out these pesky clones. They weren't even the real thing. He evaded an attack from a shadow clone, before turning around to be met by a strike from a water clone. He easily sidestepped, hitting a wind clone, only for the wind clone to regenerate. "I've got you now!" Naruto hollered before gripping the real Samehada. Naruto swung his blade in a slash, before returning a backward slash. However, his opponent had body flickered away, leaving an Earth clone to take the strike. The power of the attack instantly dispelled the Earth clone. Suddenly, a thought hit Earthworm's mind, like a veil had been lifted. A revelation came tumbling down on him, like a boulder rolling down a mountain during a landslide. Wind's weakness was fire. Fire style, Phoenix Flower Jutsu. Earthworm screamed, using the only fire ninjutsu he had at his disposal. Naruto cursed, before attempting to extinguish the flames with a water release ninjutsu, but it was too late. The flames made contact with the wind clones, gaining traction and power. The weak flames doubled in size after they hit all of the wind clones, targeting Naruto. Water style, Water Bomb Jutsu. Naruto roared, water spewing out of his mouth. The powerful water release attack flushed out the flames failing to hit their target. Despite Naruto's low amount of ninjutsu, his creativity more than made up for it. Earthworm put up a mud wall to defend from the water ninjutsu, the type advantage helping a lot. The shinobi had already dispelled most of the clones, leaving only 3 standing alongside Naruto. Earth style, Stone Column Spears. Stone pillars arose, attempting to impale Naruto once again. One of his water clones took the hit for him, the earth and soil absorbing the water at a surprisingly fast rate. Earthworm formed another clone out of his soon exhausted chakra reserves, and the duo began speedily weaving through hand seals. Fire style, Phoenix Flower Jutsu. Wind style, Great Breakthrough. The 2 clones yelled out their ninjutsu in unison, Earthworm using the only ninjutsu of other elements that he knew. The combination of the missile-like fireballs and the wind enhanced the attack, the size of each fireball increasing. Naruto sidestepped one fireball before blocking another. A small part of his sleeve crumbled, burned by the fireball that he had blocked. The fireballs came like rain, Naruto taking the hit for some, blocking with Samehada for others, and dodging some. The blonde flinched, a fireball barely missing his face. Wind style, Air Bullets. Naruto sent concentrated wind chakra bullets towards Earthworm, drilling through the air towards Earthworm. The desperate enemy quickly put up a mud wall, before weaving another sequence of hand seals. However, the bullets hit Earthworm's clone, one hit dispelling it. Earth style, Stone Golem Jutsu. Earthworm launched his last resort jutsu, forming a powerful servant out of stone alone. The towering giant loomed over Naruto, the Kenjutsu master infusing his blade with wind and slashing at the giant. Unlike Earthworm's other attacks, the giant was not obliterated. Instead, only a crack appeared on his huge torso. Naruto gritted his teeth in frustration, tiredness slowly creeping into his body. He had fought for a long time, and had thought that Earthworm would have been tired out, but the low Jonin-level ninja kept holding out. Distressed, Naruto turned to one of his last resorts. The bandages concealing Samehada's true form flew open, the jagged blade scaring Earthworm. "Here goes nothing," Naruto muttered, dispelling his clones. Naruto raised Samehada above his head, as the sword began glowing in a dark orange light. The two began fusing, gills growing on Naruto's neck. The blonde skin slowly turned gray, scales growing throughout his body. Sharp claws and teeth emerged, as Naruto's appearance shifted to be that of a deep-sea predator. And the whiskers remained on his face, no doubt the result of Naruto hosting the Nine Tails. "Let's go!" Naruto roared, his voice significantly deepened. The blonde's voice echoed across the battlefield, radiating a sense of power and instilling fear into his enemies. This was Naruto's first try at combining with Samehada, having heard the logic behind it with Kisame, but he didn't think it would work at first. Power coursed through Naruto's body as he weaved unfamiliar hand seals. It was like Samehada was teaching him a ninjutsu. An unfamiliar thought popped into his brain. It was the name of the jutsu, water-style bullet, shark. Naruto roared, sending a huge, concentrated bullet of water at the golem. The golem failed to dodge, the blast of water obliterating the stone servant. Earthworm desperately hoped for salvation, but to no avail. Naruto leapt at Earthworm, claws drawn. He would protect his comrades. The attack came. Naruto's claws teared Earthworm apart, obliterating his enemy. He had done this before, killing on past missions, but this time it felt different. Naruto breathed before separating again with his blade. That was exhilarating, Naruto thought, tiredness spreading throughout his body. Before he could find his teammates, Naruto fell unconscious, tired from all the fighting. An onlooker grinned, staring at Naruto. The Uzumaki had won, against all odds. He supposed he had something to do with it, using a powerful jutsu from the Scroll of Seals, which he had glimpsed when Ao took the Scroll of Seals to copy, to give Naruto the thoughts that taught him the water-style bullet. Shark. Still, Naruto had done it, and he had done it well. Kisame and Mei would be pleased at his improvement. Very pleased indeed. Shikamaru grimaced, having to actually try against his opponent. The Nara was way too lazy to put in effort, but at a battle, going less than 100% could cost him his life. Thoughts raced through his head, attempting to formulate a strategy against his enemy. "Too bad, kid." Shikamaru's target, Gopher, taunted, not in a proper fighting stance. The arrogant shinobi charged at Shikamaru, his double-edged sword drawn. Shikamaru used Shibuki to block the downward slash, the blast sword exploding on Gopher's sword. The smoke from the explosion blurred Gopher's vision, as Shikamaru speedily weaved the rat seal. Shikamaru's shadow zoomed towards Gopher's legs, the somewhat unintelligent enemy jumping up to avoid the shadow. As Gopher landed on the ground, Shikamaru's shadow continued chasing him around the battlefield, forcing Gopher to focus on the shadow alone. Gopher weaved through the battlegrounds, his eyes trained on Shikamaru's shadow. It wasn't until the shadow disappeared that he noticed what was happening. Shikamaru let a tiny smile form on his face, as a kunai whizzed through the air, aimed at Gopher. The Nara's guess had been correct, as Gopher lost his focus on Shikamaru's shadow to dodge the kunai. What the masked shinobi didn't notice was the explosive tag strapped onto the kunai hilt, which detonated as Shikamaru snapped his fingers. "Shoot!" Gopher swore, as he somersaulted into the air, his body turning like a wheel to both dodge and land properly. Gopher's eyes darted around the battlefield, the smoke obscuring his vision. All of a sudden, ash flew towards him out of nowhere, blinding him. Gopher looked to the ground, expecting Shikamaru's shadow to try and trap him, but it never came. Instead, Shikamaru ignited the ash surrounding Gopher, using the flint he had placed in his tooth prior to set the chakra gunpowder on fire. Fire style, burning ash. Gopher grunted, attempting to escape the flames. Channeling fire-natured chakra to his feet, Gopher used the fire chakra as a means of escape, utilizing the embers to propel himself into the air. Midair, the enemy shinobi sneered, the flames below failing to burn him. Wind style, great breakthrough. Shikamaru coolly replied, sending a gust of wind at Gopher's feet. The wind style ninjutsu had been one of the few ninjutsu that all 7 new swordsmen had been taught, along with the water prison, water clone, water bomb, water wall, and raging waves. Gopher's face looked in confusion at Shikamaru's actions. Wind was weak to fire. Shikamaru's strange usage of wind ninjutsu surprised Gopher, a look of astonishment appearing on Gopher's face. Just as the wind was about to hit Gopher's fire chakra, keeping him afloat, Gopher weaved hand seals to take advantage of his predicament. Fire style, giant flame bombs. A huge blast of flame erupted from Gopher's lungs, increasing in speed and size as it hit the wind. Shikamaru smiled faintly before launching into hand seals. His hands weaved tiger, ox back to tiger, and rat. Water came out of his mouth, extinguishing the scorching flames, but most importantly, the last seal in the sequence was rat. Shadow possession complete. Shikamaru announced, having used the shadow the fire blast caused to extend his range. Shibuki stood in his hand, excited to be used. Gopher winced, unable to move. His body acted like a puppet for Shikamaru. He was forced to put his hand on his head, imitating Shikamaru's motions. "This is way too troublesome," Shikamaru remarked. "Shibuki, let's finish this here and now." Shadow imitation jutsu. Gopher's face shifted into one of fear, afraid of what Shikamaru would do. Shikamaru could now move his limbs without impacting Gopher's body, allowing him to step towards his enemy. Shikamaru grabbed Shibuki and swung it at Gopher's head, aiming for a quick and swift decapitation. However, at that very moment, Gopher's limbs broke free. Shikamaru cursed as he jumped back, avoiding a slash from Gopher's special sword. Gopher's kenjutsu wasn't sloppy at all. Need dictated Shikamaru's effort level. And now, in this scenario, especially when his opponent could break free of a weaker version of the shadow possession jutsu, Shikamaru needed to try his best. Gopher swung his sword at Shikamaru, the Konoha defector blocking his swing with Shibuki. Gopher blocked a slash from Shikamaru, his blade taking an explosion, before returning his own jab. Gopher's opponent rotated his blade so that the flat edge contacted the blade, tearing off some explosive paper from the seven sword of the mist. Shikamaru maneuvered around the battlefield, forcing his enemy to follow him in order to attack. Shibuki's wielder knew that he had to conserve his chakra and couldn't afford to use many more ninjutsu. His chakra reserves the second lowest in the new seven swordsmen, the only one lower being Ranmaru. However, the purple head made up for that by drawing natural lightning from his environment and his sword, and Shikamaru had neither of those capabilities. Plus, Shikamaru couldn't use the shadow possession again and risk it failing, like it did in his enemy's near-death situation. Gopher's foot struck the tore-off paper from Shibuki's endless reel of explosive tags, and an explosion rocked his right ankle. Flinching, the Hittite-less shinobi swiftly entered a sequence of hand seals, funneling the fire chakra he had been molding in his lungs out through his mouth. Fire style, great flame flower. Fireballs rocked the battlefield like rain, burning any trees or buildings in its way. Shikamaru weaved his way around most of the fireballs, blocking any that he couldn't dodge with Shibuki. Shikamaru tore off many pieces of explosive paper from Shibuki, throwing it in the air to emulate Gopher's attack. Hidden Mole Jutsu. Gopher muttered before sinking into the ground. The skilled fire release user disappeared into the earth below, his attack having cleared out the battlefield of any houses and decorations. Shikamaru tiredly sighed, before placing an explosive tag face down on the soles of his feet, expecting Gopher to pull him underground. A few moments later, Shikamaru's prediction was proven correct, Gopher's arms emerging from the soil below. Shikamaru weaved a half-rammed seal, detonating the tag. The explosion burned Gopher's hands, sending Shikamaru flying into the air above. "Damn it!" Gopher cussed, his pride and ego slowly crumbling away. Shikamaru channeled chakra to his feet and, by extension, his sandals, before swiftly landing atop Gopher's rising head. Shikamaru's stomp pushed Gopher back into the soil below. A loud curse word could be heard as Gopher returned to above ground. Stone Clone Jutsu. Gopher roared in anger, his emotions beginning to take over. 5 clones poofed into existence, each of them beginning to form the hand seals for the same jutsu. Gopher began his own series of hand seals, different than that of his clones. All of the clones, as well as Gopher, ended their hand seal chain, all of them expelling their jutsu in unison. Fire style, Phoenix Flower Jutsu. Fire style, Great Flame Flower. The mouths of Gopher and his clones hurled fireballs at Shikamaru from all directions, including above, forcing Shikamaru to expend more of his chakra in a desperate defense. Water style, water wall, Shikamaru said, using his chakra to form 5 powerful walls all around him, blocking out the fireballs. Another pair of arms tried to pull him down and under, but a swift slash with Shibuki dealt with it. The volley of fireballs continued, Shikamaru using his chakra to sustain the water walls for as long as possible. Finally, Shikamaru's chakra reserves failed him, the walls dissolving back into liquid form from lack of chakra. "I've got you now," Gopher yelled, his voice full of arrogance. Gopher lunged at his enemy, sword drawn. He brought his double-edged sword down, aiming to crack Shikamaru's skull. Shikamaru grunted, holding Shibuki above his head with all of his remaining strength. He took the hits from Gopher's clones, attempting to stay alive for as long as possible. His head was more important than his body. Shikamaru's body slowly weakened, the strength behind Gopher's attack increasing. Shikamaru went down to one knee, a look of desperation on his face. He was about to die. Oh, how he would miss the clouds, the game of shogi, and sleeping. He would miss his newly made friends, especially Naruto. He supposed that death was eternal sleep, but still, it's time for you to meet your end, kid. You were too weak. You can't protect anyone or anything with how powerless you are. Gopher sneered. He knew that this would be his final boast to his weakened enemy, and it would. Weak, powerless, can't protect anyone. These words burned through Shikamaru's mind, the near-death ninja angered. He wouldn't die like this. A sudden surge of power through his body gave him the strength to keep pushing. For his friends, Shikamaru stood up, the force behind his return, sending Gopher's sword back towards him. Gopher's double-edged sword carved the arrogant shinobi's face in half. Not giving his opponent time to recover, Shikamaru swung Shibuki at Gopher's head, detonating the explosive paper. Gopher's clones dispelled, the real body falling to the ground, lifeless. Gopher's body was a corpse now. Shikamaru smiled, having survived before he fell to the ground, collapsing of exhaustion. The fight had taken a lot out of him. The clouds above Shikamaru danced, celebrating his victory. Best of all, finally, Shikamaru could take a break and sleep. "You can't beat me," Haku's opponent hollered, bees buzzing around her. "I'm the granddaughter of the first Tsuchikage, and you stand no chance." Haku didn't give any reply, throwing a hail of sunbon at the bees surrounding Suzumabachi. The sharp metal needles soared through the air, aimed straight at Suzumabachi's pets, but only a few needles managed to make contact. "Nice try, weakling," Suzumabachi boasted, most of her bees surviving the hit. "Thousand stingers jutsu." Haku ducked behind one of the empty houses, poisonous needles flying out from the stingers of Suzumabachi's bees. The kunoichi grimaced as a stinger came close to her face, twirling out of the way in the nick of time. "Water style, water clone. You've got to do better than that." Suzumabachi sneered at Haku's usage of a simple jutsu before launching into another attack of her own. Her hands slammed onto the ground, calling out the name of her jutsu. "Earth style, dark swamp." The nearby ground melted into mud, multiple houses submerged by the swamp made of chakra. Haku swiftly created ice out of her fingertips, freezing a slab of ice for her to stand on. Zaboz's former companion quickly weaved hand seals, performing another one of her Kekiai Genkai ninjutsu. Ice style, frozen field. Houses stopped sinking as the ground turned to ice, Suzumabachi's bees lifting her off the ground. The endless sound of buzzing rang in the ears of Haku, attempting to disturb her focus. Suzumabachi, however, had already grown accustomed to this sound. "So, you're a Kekiai Genkai user too. This makes it more fun to kill you." Suzumabachi's voice shifted into one that made her sound deranged, sadism dripping from the corner of her mouth. Her bees flew towards Haku, stingers facing the ice release user. The speed of the bees slightly threw Haku off balance. Calming down, Haku reassured herself that this was her turf. The ice floor was one that she could manipulate and shift to fit her needs, which gave her an edge. However, Suzumabachi, protected by her swarm of bees, was keeping her distance, which was a disadvantage. Haku's cold expression shifted into one of anticipation, awaiting her opponent's next move. Ninja art, Honeybee Jutsu. Suzumabachi roared, sending another wave of bees towards Haku. The bees moved in to sting Haku, attacking from all sides. What the bee controller did not anticipate was Haku having a technique that could defend on all sides. Ice style, glacial dome. Haku whispered, her hands forming a dome of ice around her. The wind gradually grew cold. The bees kept outside the dome. However, one bee had made it into the near unbreakable defense. The speedster had made it in while Haku froze the water vapor around her, encased in a block of ice. Injured and about to freeze to death, the bee emitted a huge amount of sticky honey inside the dome, immobilizing Haku's feet. Haku complained, her feet stuck in place. Luckily, she had a second choice. Haku quickly released the dome before expelling powder snow from the palm of her right hand, barricading the bees on the other side of the snow. The bees were rendered unconscious by the sub-zero temperatures, releasing honey from their stingers. Suzumabachi howled in anger, a lot of her bees down by the ice defense. She knew that she couldn't lose like this, and that Haku probably had more cards up her sleeve. Plus, Haku hadn't even used Nuabari yet. All of a sudden, Haku began sprinting across the ice field, running past the remnants of houses that had survived the fight. The strange maneuver caught Suzumabachi off guard, Haku moving in a strange pattern. The Kirigakure Kunoichi would run past House A towards House C, taking a detour around House D before moving in an S shape to get to House B, before arriving at House C and taking the straight route back to House A. When Suzumabachi finally got the hang of Haku's running patterns, she leapt into the battlefield, ready to engage Haku. Her hands were tightly packed in a sharp, stinger-like shape. Suzumabachi moved towards House C to ambush Haku. Big mistake. Invisible wires littered the battlefield, laid during Haku's running. Haku smiled, Suzumabachi tripping a wire. Immediately, the wires tangled the Kamaruzu, immobilizing her. How shall I finish you? Haku asked, having learned a lot of killing techniques from her old master, Zabuza, and her new master, Kushimaru. Suddenly, the wires snapped open, cut by one of Suzumabachi's bees. The dangerous insect user leapt at Haku, her bees in suit. Suzumabachi's hands made contact with Haku's elbow, the block not very effective. The sharp shape of Suzumabachi's hand increased the amount of damage dealt by the strike. Almost instantaneously, the Iwa Kunoichi's bees attacked also, stingers coated in poison. Haku let out a cry of pain from the taijutsu attack before weaving hand seals. Suzumabachi's next attack came, hitting the ice wall that had materialized. The hardness and coldness of the ice caused Haku's opponent to yelp in agony, some of her bees losing their stingers from the failed attack. Ice style, crystal wall. Oh, you'll pay for this. Suzumabachi growled, her anger evident from her facial expression. Her bruised fingers were still intact, showing her physical strength and endurance. Any normal ninja's fingers would have shattered from the impact, but she was different. She was the grandson of the famed first Tsuchikage, Ishikawa. She was stronger than the rest, yet she wasn't acknowledged at all by her fellow Iwa ninja. Haku jumped back, her one-handed seals forming in her left hand while wielding Nuabari. Ice darts flew out from her mouth, aimed at both Suzumabachi and her bees. The darts froze the air around them, forming icicles that fell to the ground. Through speed combined with temperature, the icy darts froze many bees, their corpses falling to the ground like trash. Suzumabachi put up her hand to block. Her muscles went limp, immobilized by the ice darts. The intense cold numbed Suzumabachi's forearm, forcing the Iwagakure Kunoichi to retreat backwards into the remains of one of the houses in the area. Haku leapt forward, her palm touching the ice-cold ground. Immediately, ice spikes plunged upwards from beneath the ground, impaling the furniture in the deserted house that Suzumabachi hid in. Ice style, shattering ice spears. Suzumabachi groaned, her skin scorched by the freezing frost. Through the sacrifice of some of her summons, also bees, she had barely survived the near insta-kill. Anger seeped through her blood vessels, burning with an intensity rivaling that of a volcano. She would be acknowledged by succeeding in this mission to guard the victory point. Haku felt the killing intent radiating from Suzumabachi's shaking body. Although nowhere near Zabuza or Kushimaru's level of intensity, Suzumabachi's was quite fierce. Even so, Haku could endure it, from her years with Zabuza and experiences assassinating strong shinobi. She had the upper hand. Suzumabachi was cold, and she wouldn't be able to last that much longer under this temperature. But Haku knew her limits and knew that she wouldn't be able to last very long fighting at this level. She made a decision on her next move, and she leapt towards her enemy. Suzumabachi shuddered, her teeth vibrating at incredible temperature. Coating herself in her bee's honey did help a little bit, but the powerful ice release user was continuously firing temperature ninjutsu at her. It didn't help that she didn't know any fire release ninjutsu. Her teammate Gopher had an affinity for fire, and her other teammate Earthworm knew one, but she didn't. She put learning one on her mental bucket list if she got back to IWA alive. Her eyes focused on Haku, ready for another assault. But she would have to do this wisely. Suzumabachi made a choice, and she charged towards Haku. Haku swiftly engaged in Bukijutsu combat with her opponent, Nuabari pitted against one of Suzumabachi's kunai. The kunai knives were far weaker than her sword, but the kunai combined with the Iwanin's repetitive B attacks were slowly getting on Haku's nerves. The ice user weaved one-handed seals at an astonishing pace, taking the stings from her enemy's bees. She would deal with the poison later, when she had time. Time was of the essence. Ice-style secret jutsu, crystal ice mirrors. Many ice mirrors materialized out of thin air, forming a dome around Suzumabachi. Suzumabachi attempted to send a bee out of the dome, to no avail. Sunbon began flying at her from all directions, her opponent seeming to be in every mirror. She weaved seals and unleashed the bee honey jutsu, but she managed to miss every time. Haku was just too fast. Suzumabachi sighed, finally realizing that she had no choice to make. It was either she died from exhaustion or her opponent, or both of them died. Suzumabachi chose the death of both. She mustered up as much chakra as possible, drawing from the deepest abyss of her chakra reserves. The beekeeper weaved hand seals, preparing her secret weapon. This jutsu was the ace up her sleeve and wasn't intended to be used close range. If her opponent used their cursed hidden jutsu, she would do the same. Bees with explosive tags littered the mirror dome, flying in all directions. The cloud of bees clouded the vision of both beekeeper and target until Suzumabachi made the hand seal. The dome exploded, the strength of the explosion shattering most of the ice mirrors. Haku leapt out of a mirror, running as far away from the explosion as possible. She inhaled the smoke and ash, coughing up some of the unclean air. Checking the remnants of the dome, she found Suzumabachi's corpse, void of all life. Haku exhaled, upset that she had to take another life. Alas, that was the life of a shinobi, and she had chosen that path. There was no going back now. The kunoichi bowed to honor her opponent, who had put up a worthy fight against her. Awaiting her teammates and sensei, Haku leaned against one of the stone slabs that once were part of the walls of a house. Kisame and his 3 genin walked down the road towards Kirigakure, each of them silently reflecting on their performance in their respective battles. All 4 of them had been victorious, but each member of Team 12 had varying levels of success. In Kisame's case, he had won easily, while the same could not be said for Haku, who had only triumphed due to her opponent committing suicide. Shikamaru had won by a stroke of luck, while Naruto most likely would have had more trouble against the golem without that lucky thought, showing how much progress had to be made. The 4 shinobi trudged along the road, their swords strapped to their backs. Each member's minds focused on what they needed to improve on. After all, there is never too little room for improvement. I need to enlarge my chakra reserves by a lot, Shikamaru thought, acknowledging his lack of chakra. I also need to think even further ahead, and I need to expand my jutsu arsenal. I should use strategy more and formulate good strategies, though a few sessions with Shikamaru should do the trick. Naruto reviewed what he needed to improve on. I also need to know more ninjutsu because I probably could have killed the guy that I fought, but not the golem. My raw taijutsu needs work, Haku thought, thinking of a few aspects that needed improvement in order for her to be successful. I also should invest in bigger chakra reserves in my ice style. After all, I'm the only ice release user left. Kisame grinned at his team's growth, having seen the corpses of the 3 opponents that his genin had to face. Albeit 2 of his students had been unconscious when he found them, he was confident that his students had overcame the odds and triumphed. Although, according to Haku, she would have lost if her opponent did not commit suicide in an attempt to take both of them out. Her opponent had overestimated Haku, thinking that she would have died, when Haku most likely would have ran out of chakra, maintaining the mirrors instead. After all, keeping the crystal ice mirrors active took a lot out of the user. We're nearly at the border to the land of rain, Kisame informed his squadron, pointing at a station guarded by multiple samurai. Now, the question is, do we take the more dangerous path through the land of rain, in which we risk being intercepted by Amigakure shinobi, or do we cross the border to the land of fire and have a longer as well as more risky path? I say the land of rain path, Shikamaru suggested, voting for the first option. Risks were to be avoided at all costs, and he had gotten too accustomed to Kirigakure that returning to Konoha would be way too troublesome. Plus, his parents, Shikaku and Yoshino, had stressed that he had a choice. The Nara knew that his parents had accepted his decision with a grain of salt. I agree, Naruto voted, not wanting to risk returning to the hellhole of the place known as Konoha, where the villagers shunned the demon boy every chance they had, even abuse on his very birthday. That is fine with me, Haku stated, giving her opinion on the situation. From her vote, it was clear which path the group would be taking. The land of rain it is, Kisame announced to his genin, pointing at the checkpoint ahead. The experienced S-rank ninja's enhanced eyesight pinpointed the exact location of the samurai. However, I doubt the mercenary samurai would let random shinobi inside the country, so the 5 samurai guarding the land of rain's border entrance point from the land of rivers. Unlike the land of rain's other neighbors, the land of rivers had a weak shinobi village. Plus, rumors had spread that a platoon of 10 masked shinobi massacred the entire village, some of them remaining to protect the checkpoint. One of them ordered the band of travelers attempting to pass the border. State your purpose. We are a band of traveling performers heading to Utiki village to deliver a performance, the tallest cloaked man replied. His companions nodded in agreement, the 3 other cloaked performers preparing to pass the border gate. We shall proceed to the weapons check, the samurai told the performers. Please take off your cloaks. The performers took off their cloaks, revealing 4 swords, one attached on each of their backs. Under the transformation jutsu, Kirigakure's team, 12 smiled, each of them disguised as a different person. The 5 samurai drew their blades, ready to fight the 4 supposed actors. A word from Kisame calmed them down. Relax, these are just props. Kisame lied straight through his teeth. Fortunately, the skilled information protector had great experience lying, constantly having to use this skill to protect information. The jaws of the samurai dropped open at what Kisame did next, stunning them at the risk that he was taking. See? Kisame proved to the samurai that the swords were fake by stabbing himself in the finger with his katana, no blood trickling out of the pierced location. What the samurai didn't know, however, was that the wound had been prevented by the tailless-tailed beast's extraordinary healing factor, and that the sword was real. Very well, you may pass. The samurai opened the gate, letting the team, consisting of Kirigakure ninja, through into the land of rain. After the team of foreign shinobi established distance between themselves and the border guards, all 4 ninja dropped the transformation. They don't check for your chakra signature, which is why you don't need to suppress your chakra signature, Kisame taught his team. However, you guys eventually will have to learn how to suppress it, because you will go on assassination and infiltration missions some point in your ninja career. Naruto, Shikamaru, and Haku nodded, absorbing the useful information that their sensei had given them. After all of them wanted to improve their skills as a shinobi, and they all knew that what Kisame said was true. The humid temperature was no doubt a result of the constant pouring of rain in Amigakure. The water vapor left over from when the rain ended remained in the air, carried throughout the country by the winds. The team continued their way across the land of rain for the rest of the day, the sun moving across the sky from east to west. Time flew like ravens, and before long, night dawned on them. So, are we setting up camp yet? Naruto asked his master, seeing the moon gaze down upon him. Yeah, Kisame agreed. You guys pitch the tent and go to bed. We need energy for tomorrow. I'll patrol. All right. Naruto cheered, tired from the long walking. This is just troublesome. Shikamaru complained, reluctantly heading to help Naruto build the tent. Kisame had sealed the team necessities into a scroll, keeping everyone's belongings safe in a storage scroll concealed in his belt. Being the only one on the team other than Shikamaru knowledgeable in Fuinjutsu, Kisame had taken up the duty of storing everyone's belongings in a scroll and protecting it, unlike the flimsiness of carrying a backpack around. Shikamaru unsealed the scroll that Kisame had tossed at him, being the sole genin on his team, able to use Fuinjutsu. After all, Shibuki was just a long scroll with explosive tags, and Jinpachi had instructed him to try to increase the versatility of Shibuki with his intelligence. Learning Fuinjutsu was the first step. The team of 3 began assembling the tent, pitching the upper end of the shelter so that it covered the sleeping chambers. Slowly but surely, the tent transformed into a triangular shape, with chambers for each individual member to sleep in. Take a rest, Kisame assured his team. You guys need it. All 3 members crawled into their sleeping bags, Shikamaru the most enthusiastic about it. After all, his dream life consisted of shogi, sleep, and watching clouds. Before long, all 3 of them were fast asleep. Checking once again on his team, Kisame walked over to a nearby clearing, meeting an unknown figure. He remembered that chakra signature and had sensed it since he entered the area. So, we meet again. Kisame began the conversation. Again, I don't want to be part of the plan of yours. Kisame, what a pleasure to meet you again. The dark-cloaked figure replied. Are you still considering that offer? Not like I am here to attack you or your little genin. No, I already have my loyalties. Conan. Birds chirped across the sky, flapping their wings and soaring high above the clouds. Naruto awakened to the calling of Kisame, who had woken up much earlier than him. The Kirigakure Jonin had already hunted a wild ox and scorched it with his fire release, a huge breakfast for the group. The team gulped down the morning meal, a bit extreme for a breakfast if Naruto said so himself. Still, it was better than nothing, and Naruto wanted to conserve the 1 pack of instant ramen for the return home. Finishing the remnants of the meat, Naruto and his squad unpacked the tent, Kisame resealing the components into the scroll. The quick speed of the team meant that it took absolutely no time to get ready to continue on their trip to Kisame. The stone and dirt path towards the hidden grass village was mostly straight, somewhat curved. All 4 of them had their destination in mind, even though none of them could see the end of the road. The sound of sandals hitting the road rung in the ears of the animals that could hear higher frequencies of sound, the shinobi trotting along the road to the grass village. The trip was rather uneventful, nothing noteworthy happening. It was mostly walking, with the occasional 3 to 4 sentence conversation occasionally sprinkled in. Tall gates with walls built around them marked the entrance to the hidden grass village. The gate guards sat on their foldable chairs, standing up with their nunchucks in hand at the sight of intruders. Stop! State your purpose. We are here on behalf of the 5th Mizukage, Mei Terumi, to deliver a message to the leader of Kisame. Kisame informed the gate guards. Just the sheer sight of the strongest 7 swordsmen ever made the teeth of the gate guards shudder. The sharp man showed the guards a scroll. Follow me to the office of the village leader. The gate guard instructed, the gates opening. Team 12 entered the village, following the gate guard into the village. The huge bridges, towers, buildings towered over the team as they entered the main tower, where the leader was residing. The 4 Kirigakure ninja entered the office of the Kisame leader, paperwork littering the man's table. Welcome to Kisame, Kirigakure messengers. The man asked, his long black hair flowing down to his shoulders. Now, what reply has Mei Terumi given me? So, you are the village head of Kisame, Moisher Tanima? Kisame questioned the man in front of him, the message from Mei still wrapped inside his hand. Indeed. The long-haired man answered Kisame, nodding in confirmation. Good. Kisame replied to the village head, handing over the scroll sealed with the kanji for waters. The Team 12 looked in anticipation, unsure as to what they were doing in the office with Kisame. Naruto's puzzled look caused Moisher to question why they were here with Kisame Hashigaki. So, the famed Kisame Hashigaki. Why are these children with you? Moyashiro remarked, many questions flooding his mind. Are they Genin? And why do they possess Kirigakure swords? This is my Genin team, Kisame stated, beginning a conversation with the village head of Kisagakure. As for why they have the 7 swords, that is classified. I understand now. Moyashiro responded. Very well. My advisor here, Bokasu, will escort you to a hotel room where you can stay the night before returning to your respective village. Feel free to explore Kisagakure. My only request is that you do not enter any of the ninja areas, as I would not like a possible enemy possessing intel on us. No offense intended. Thank you very much for your hospitality, Moyashi-sama. Kisame bowed courteously, respecting the village head. His team followed suit, also bowing in respect to the leader of a foreign village. The stern-faced man wearing a dark purple robe, standing next to Moyashiro, walked over, gesturing to the team to follow him. The Kisagakure Hittite was strapped to his forehead, shining in all its glory. Bokasu walked out of the room, Team 12 following him. Turning left through the streets, they arrived at a cylindrical building colored in silver. Welcome to the Golden Stock Hotel. How may I help you? The receptionist asked, Bokasu and the Kirigakure ninja entering the room. A top-floor room for these honored guests from Kirigakure. Bokasu instructed. Understood, Bokuso-sama. The receptionist replied, hurrying off to fetch a room for the team. The service in Kisagakure was surprisingly fast, only taking 3 whole minutes to complete. Picking up the room key, Kisame and his team accompanied the same receptionist up the stairs to the top floor. The seals in Kirigakure were a lot more convenient, but still, they were the first ones to develop it, and such a useful technology should not be spread so recklessly. As the receptionist opened the door and gave them the room key, the eyes of Naruto and his teammates glistened in amazement. The room was definitely one of the best in the hotel, and the comfortable futons, the nice furniture, and the look in general proved it. I'll leave you to your room now, Bokasu informed the foreign ninja before leaving the room with the receptionist. Immediately, Kisame closed the door, lowered the curtains, and slapped on privacy seals that he had prepared beforehand all over the room. Listen, even if this place is nice dash, Kisame began, but was rudely interrupted by Naruto. It is nice. Naruto interjected, too excited about the nice hotel room and being in a foreign hidden village. This is just to win the favor of our village. Be wary of your surroundings. Kisame told his genin, teaching them another lesson. We are much stronger than them, and they know it. They are scared of us. This is why they are giving us privileges but not allowing us to gather intelligence on their military. I get it now, Shikamaru said, his sharp mind picking up what Kisame was saying. They do this because they want our village to like them, especially with the power difference. And they don't want to risk antagonizing us. Exactly. You have to be careful what you say around other diplomats, because you don't want to risk a war. What you say and what you think is usually different during diplomacy. Kisame stated. Basic international politics, kids. Now, to stop the privacy so they don't get too suspicious about us. Naruto and Haku strolled through the streets of Kisagakure, Shikamaru trailing behind them. Shops and restaurants littered the market, but the one location that caught Naruto's eye was the ramen stall right in the center of the street. I'm getting hungry. Let's go eat there, Naruto announced, pulling Haku and Shikamaru with him towards the ramen stall. The aroma of miso ramen drifted through the air, inhaled by Naruto's nose. The scent instantly mesmerized Naruto, the smell of the food of the gods causing Naruto to crave his favorite food. The last time he had eaten his beloved ramen was last week, because he had been forced into a healthy diet by Kisame. Hey kids, what ramen do you want? The ramen stall owner asked, his cooking tools already in hand. And you 3 don't seem like you're from around here, because I haven't seen you before. What do you guys want? Naruto asked his teammates, glancing at the menu. His mouth watered at all of the possible options, salivating like there was no tomorrow. The many options included chicken ramen, spicy ramen, the basic miso ramen, and more. All the possibilities. 1 chicken ramen, please, Shikamaru ordered, his monotone voice devoid of all emotion, except for tiredness. May I have a miso ramen? Thank you very much. Haku requested politelu. May I order one of all of the ramen on the menu, except for the miso ramen, which I want 2 of, as well as Naruto topping on all of them? Thank you. Naruto ordered excitedly, the speed of his talking showing his eagerness to eat the meal. "Sure," the man said, although his face showed huge surprise at what the young blonde with the Kirigakure ninja headband had ordered. "You sure you can finish all of it?" Naruto nodded happily, hyped for his favorite food. "Yeah, I'm totally sure. All right, kid," the man said, before preparing the broth for the miso ramen first. Saliva dripped out of the corner of Naruto's mouth, showing how excited he was at eating the food of the gods once more. The old chef reminded him of how he used to eat at Ichiraku Ramen every day back when he was at Konoha, despite both the old monkey and Irika-sensei telling him that it wasn't healthy. The only good people and the only good place in the Hidden Leaf Village. The ramen chef basked the noodles into boiling water while straining the broth into the ramen bowl. This place was paradise to Naruto's eyes, nose, and tongue. The chef continued the process, flipping the ramen noodles in the cooking tool. He placed the ramen noodles into the broth, before taking chopsticks and placing a few slices of chicken on the ramen bowl. He plated it on the bowl, handing it to Shikamaru. "Here's your chicken ramen." The chef repeated the process, cooking each bowl of ramen before handing it to his customers. The flavors of the ramen were so vibrant that it came close to the quality of Ichiraku Ramen. Naruto exclaimed in excitement. "This ramen is super good. Thank you so much." Before long, Naruto had wolfed down all of the ramen, to the surprise of his teammates and the chef. Everyone knew that he had a monstrous appetite, just not this monstrous. In satisfaction, Naruto patted his full stomach, growling in appreciation. "That will be 51,000 Ryo." The ramen chef informed Naruto of the price. Haku and Shikamaru nearly fainted at the absurdity of the price, but apparently Naruto thought that this ramen was worth paying so much for. Opening up his toad wallet, Gamachan, Naruto pulled out a few bills, handing them to the chef. "This ramen is super good. Thank you so much." Excitedly, the three shinobi walked off to do something else, feeling fulfilled from a quick lunch. Even though the ramen at Kirigakure was incredible and far above Naruto's expectations, nothing topped Ichiraku Ramen. Nothing at all. Jiraiya and his two companions moved inland, tired of waiting for their targets. After all, they should have reached the peninsula by now, but they hadn't yet. Another complication to his mission. "What's that?" his male companion asked, pointing at the ruins of Tanigakure. "It's where Tanigakure once stood, until it was wiped out by 10 shinobi from the north. Only 5 of them stayed to protect it, but the village wasn't as ruined as this after the invasion." Jiraiya told his two companions. "Someone must have fought here. Was it them?" the female asked Jiraiya. "It might very well be so," Jiraiya informed her, before barking out orders. "We're setting up camp here. They're not going to pass through the land of fire, nor the land of wind, due to affiliation to Konoha. They have to pass through this narrow corridor of land." "Yes, Jiraiya-sensei." Naruto entered the library, filled from top to bottom with scrolls on an assortment of topics. Scrolling through the different options of material to read, Naruto's eyes locked onto one scroll that seemed interesting. "Wind Style, Bag of 8 Winds." The scroll rolled open, revealing an A-rank jutsu. His eyes widened. "This will be interesting," Naruto thought, before he copied down the scroll and got to work. "This jutsu will be useful." Naruto headed out of the Kirigakure library half an hour later with a copied scroll and a new jutsu to work on. Jiraiya barked out an order to his subordinates, the 2 surviving members of his genin team. After all, both he and Orochimaru had taken up the assignment from their sensei to train a genin team, and he had gotten lucky. One of his students, Minato Namikaze. "Hihari," Jiraiya ordered his female student, his sharp, gray hair hanging downwards from his scalp. "Try to sense where Naruto Uzumaki and his team are. We are to retrieve Minato's son." "Yes, Jiraiya-sensei," the dark-haired girl replied, a triple-pronged spear strapped on her back. Hihari Jutsu of the Hidden Leaf closed her eyes and took a lotus position, her eyes closing shut. Born a sensory type, her sensory abilities had been fostered by her capable sensei. Haiden, life energy detection. A thin layer of chakra spread over a 500-meter radius before the kunoichi's eyes snapped open in realization. "I can confirm a low Kage-level chakra signature, no doubt that of Kisame Hashigaki, a high Jonin-level chakra signature of Naruto Uzumaki, and 1 high Genin as well as 1 Chunin-level ninja." But here's the thing. Jiraiya's eyes widened as the four ninja came into his field of vision. There's a fifth high Jonin level ninja with the group. Hihari nodded grimly, but all they could do was wait. Kisame put up his hand, stopping his three little genin from advancing further. Draw your weapons. There are interceptors ahead. Also, come out now, Orca. They're gonna need your help. As Team 12 pulled out their swords, an AMBU Black Ops officer jumped out of the shadows around them, a Tanto blade in hand. Naruto, Shikamaru, and Haku looked in surprise at the Kirigakure NBU that they hadn't noticed tailing them. No time to talk. Orca commanded the three genin in front of him. I will explain afterwards, but now, my mission is to escort you guys back to Kirigakure as soon as possible. Follow me. The team reluctantly followed Orca towards the narrow corridor where Jiraiya and his two students were camped. Seeing Kisame charge towards their enemies with his katana drawn, Orca took advantage of the distraction. Needle Jizo! Jiraiya roared, swinging his now sharp hair downwards to serve as a shield for Kisame's slash. What an honor it is, Jiraiya of the Sannin. Unfortunately, I will have to defeat you at all costs. Kisame introduced. I don't even need to go full power to beat you. Jiraiya taunted, jumping back while performing hand seals. A jet of oil-enhanced fire emerged from the Toad Sage's mouth, flying towards Kisame. Fire style, flame bombs. Water style, water sharp bomb. Kisame quickly moved his right hand in a stabbing motion, a water shark heading towards Jiraiya. The liquid shark slowly whittled down the amount of power in the fire blast, but the sheer power of the Sandaime Hokage's student was enough to evaporate the water and send a small fireball towards Kisame. In an alternate universe where Kisame kept Samahata, he would have been able to counter, but alas, that was not the present situation. His student needed it more than him. The shark man dodged, looking around, before a sharky grin emerged on his face. He was ready to go all out. Naruto and his squadron sprinted forward, Orca following them from behind to protect the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. They had already established quite a long distance from Jiraiya and Kisame's battle, nearing the coast. What Orca failed to notice, however, was the two remaining members of Team Jiraiya lying in wait for them to arrive. The four shinobi skidded to a halt at the sight of Hihari Jutsu and Shibuya Kimichi, the two members of Jiraiya's retrieval party. You're gonna have to go through us. Shibuya Kimichi taunted, revealing a hammer. Earth style, Doom Quake. Shibuya slammed his hammer down, using the hard weapon as a conductor for the Earth release jutsu. A crack formed along the ground, slowly widening and separating the four ninja as well as the two teammates. Naruto and Haku glanced at their opponent, Hihari. They knew that Shikamaru would most likely be able to handle their opponent, due to his extremely high planning ability and Orca's obvious competence. But the same could not be said for them. The crack that Shibuya had formed was too wide already, and none of them had Earth release techniques at their disposal. Thoughts circulated Haku's mind about how to exit their current predicament. An ice bridge wouldn't work either, because the sheer power of their opponents could destroy it in seconds, collapsing it and sending everyone on it plummeting down the ravine-like cracks caused by the Akimichi's ninjutsu. Knowing that she had to fight with Naruto, Haku hesitantly looked Naruto's way, making eye contact, before he reluctantly nodded. They would have to fight to get out of this mess. The duo glimpsed Shikamaru and Orca already beginning to fight, signaling the beginning. Haku and Naruto charged at their opponent, their blades drawn and in front of them. That was a big mistake. Hihari quickly used her spear to block the two-pronged assault, her weapon specially tailored with a more resilient metal than normal. The staff section of the spear collided with the new Seven Swordsman's blades, a clanging sound resonating from the metal of Nuabari and that of the spear making contact. Fire style, Phoenix Flower Jutsu. Hihari announced, lighting her spear on fire. Metal being an excellent heat conductor, Haku's hands began to redden from the heat. The ice user quickly froze the sewing needle, halting the heat. However, Hihari's intense chakra melted the ice. Haku's eyes darted around, watching Naruto as he lunged at Hihari with Samahata. Haku took the charge as an opening, before heading towards their enemy in a swift motion. The Konoha gracefully shifted her body, narrowly avoiding Haku's attack while blocking Naruto's slash downwards. She quickly adapted to the situation, quickly moving out of the range of Naruto's backward slash and knocking Nuabari downwards. So, This truly is Minato's son. Disappointing. Both Kirigakure, Shinobi confusedly shared a glance before launching into a coordinated assault. The duo's attacks forced Hihari into a seemingly impossible situation, but Jiraiya's disciple still managed to fend both of them off at the same time. A look of continued frustration displayed on Naruto's face, the blonde increasingly frustrated at his opponent's ability to dodge excellently coordinated attacks. Sighing, Naruto gestured to Haku as both of them fell back. The bandages wrapped around Samehada unraveled, the scaly sharkskin sword basking in all its glory. Taking the tactical retreat as an opportunity, Hihari sprinted towards Haku, twirling her spear in her hand. With her calculated but powerful attacks, the Leaf Kunoichi forced the Mist Kunoichi to painstakingly block each attack using Nuabari. A ninja never reveals their entire hand until it is needed, Haku stated, wincing from one of the three prongs of her enemy's spear grazing her hip. Ice style, crystal wall. For walls of ice arose from the ground, blocking out any attacks that Hihari launched. After a few jabs and slashes with the spear, the front wall finally collapsed, revealing Naruto in fusion mode with Samehada. Substitution jutsu, Naruto said, as he widened his claws and baring his shark-like teeth. Hihari's calmness and adaptability was reflected in her stern gaze, quickly blocking the slash from Naruto's sharpened nails. Haku attempted to stab her from behind using Nuabari, but all she hit was a wooden log that conveniently was placed around the battlefield. Not bad. Fire style, Fire Dragon Bomb. A burst of flame soared towards Naruto from behind, and the shark-human hybrid ran through hand seals at an extremely fast rate. A humongous wave of water appeared out of Naruto's mouth, washing over the flame blast. The Nine Tails, Samehada, and Naruto's heritage as an Uzumaki all contributed to his monstrous chakra reserves, which enabled him to perform this taxing technique. Water-style bullet. Shark. Now that's what I would expect from Minato's kid. Hihari grinned before firing off another fire release attack. Fire style, Dragon Flame Bomb. The searing flames transformed into multiple dragons, evaporating the water bullet. The diminished flames collided with Naruto from all directions, the blonde crying out in pain. Hihari quickly dodged a stab from Haku, entering a Bukijutsu battle with her opponent. Jabs, slashes, and parries were exchanged, sparks flying from the collision. Neither Kunoichi could obtain an advantage, but it was clear that Hihari was not going at full power. It wasn't until Naruto rejoined the battle that the tide shifted in Kirigakure's favor. The Nine Tails and the two other overpowered factors having healed Naruto extremely quickly from third-degree burns. The blonde Uzumaki leapt at Hihari from behind, but quick thinking helped the Kunoichi dodge and caused Naruto and Haku's attacks to hit each other. Damn it! Naruto cursed, the stab wound already recovered. The same could not be said for Haku. Haku groaned in pain, letting out a yelp. Her ears picked up Naruto's apology, and she knew that her comrade would keep her enemy away from her while she was recovering. All she could do was observe, and observe she did. What she saw shocked her to her very core. Her jaw dropped open, leaving a gaping hole in between her lips. Orca, the ANBU they did not know, was using Ice Release. Naruto dodged another one of Hihari's attacks, his opponent's skill in using a spear very annoying. His mind whirred quickly. Utilizing his very strong planning ability, he had picked up performing pranks and his incredible capability to think on his feet to formulate a strategy. Shadow Clone Jutsu, Hihari said, creating one clone out of her chakra reserves. Not everyone had the amount of chakra that Naruto had. Wind style, Great Breakthrough. Fire style, Dragon Flame Bomb. Hihari's clone roared, the wind fanning the flame of the Dragon Flame Bomb. The fire dragons more than doubled in size, flying in circles around Naruto. Closing in on the blonde, the dragons prepared to scorch Naruto. Two can play at that game, Databeo, Naruto taunted. His mental conditioning with Kisame couldn't completely eliminate the verbal tick Naruto had been using for over 11 years, only minimize it. About 1,000 Narutos appeared, swarming their side of the cliff. A quick substitution was all it took to cause Hihari's attack to miss its target. Fire style, Searing Migraine, Hihari said, before her clone and the real Hihari launched a firestorm at Naruto's clones, dispelling most of them in a puff of smoke. Wind style, vacuum blast. Naruto yelled, quickly launching sharp wind blasts at his opponent. The wind flew out in all directions, swiftly dispelling the clone that Hihari had created earlier. Both the real Hihari and the shadow clone disappeared in a puff of smoke. Naruto's eyes widened in realization. Shoot, goodbye. The real Hihari appeared behind Haku, her spear over her head. She brought her spear down on the back of Haku's skull. Just as she was about to be killed, Haku substituted with another log. The Kirigakure Kunoichi was ready to return to the battle. In conjunction with Naruto, Haku and her teammate began another relentless assault, this time requiring Hihari to put in more effort. Water style, water prison. Naruto said, attempting to trap Hihari in a spherical dome of water. He failed. As the Konoha dodged Naruto's prison technique, Haku prepared another attack, condensing the water particles in the air into water, then into ice. Shards of ice soared from Haku's surroundings straight at Hihari from a point-blank range. Ice style, Manjihyo. Hihari countered with another substitution. The ice shards buried themselves inside a log, with splinters flying out from where the impact was made. Reappearing behind the weaker of the two, which was Haku, she quickly weaved more hand seals, preparing another ninjutsu. Fire style, Dragon Flame Caterwall. These fire dragons were definitely a lot stronger than the ones that Hihari had launched earlier, no doubt the cause of her going harder against her opponents. The dragons hit Haku straight on the spinal cord, knocking the Kunoichi out. Dark chakra began to seep through Naruto's veins, but before he could be overtaken, Naruto launched a final combo infused with a huge amount of chakra. Water style, Water Bomb. The water wave swallowed whatever fire jutsu Hihari had to launch. Wind style, Bag of 8 Winds. Naruto looked around to see a dirty sewer with leaking pipes. He turned a corner, greeted by growls from an animalistic beast inside a cage. The cage towered over Naruto's small stature, the metal bars extending high above Naruto's head. At the lock pad stood a paper with a kanji for seal on it. Where am I? He wondered, unsure as to where he was. Did the combo work, or did I die? Is this hell? The demonic chakra that Naruto had felt as he launched his combo engulfed the entire room, dark red eyes penetrating Naruto's gaze. Naruto's eyes darted around the room to see a shark-like beast standing next to him. Come closer. I dare you. The Nine-Tails taunted, convincing Naruto to slowly inch towards it. Claws protruded from the bars of the cage, so the red chakra was his. Naruto realized, so we finally meet the nine-tailed demon fox. The shark humanoid replied, lend this child your chakra. After all, you don't want to wait years to respawn, don't you? He needs it. Very well, my fellow demon Samahata. The Nine-Tails answered, granting his request. Here's my rent. Take it and obliterate your opponent. But next time, Uzumaki Naruto, you will need more to use my chakra. Surrounded by a cloak of Nine-Tails chakra, Naruto snapped back into reality. Ugh, this is so troublesome, Shikamaru grunted, unable to find an edge over his opponent. Orca was definitely strong, but their enemy was stronger. A lot stronger. The battle had just begun, but they still hadn't managed to land a significant hit. Weaklings! Shiboi laughed, his fat stature befitting to an Akimichi. A look of assured confidence pridefully hung across Shiboi's wide face. Shikamaru dodged another hammer strike, returning a blast from Shibuki. The blast sword exploded in the face of the wooden hammer, sparks flying from the impact. Surprisingly, the Nara's sword didn't leave a single burn mark on the hammer, the blunt weapon seemingly untouched by the blast. This hammer is made from one of the trees grown by the Shodame Hokage. Shiboi grinned at the failure of Shikamaru's counter, missing a Tanto attack from Orca. The Kirigakure Ienbyu's short sword stabbed into Shiboi's stomach, the Akimichi forgetting to dodge. Shiboi's fat wrapped around Orca's blade. None of the ninja's vitals scratched from the attack. A drop of blood emerged on the corner of Shiboi's mouth, enticed by these interesting opponents. Orca pulled his hand backwards, attempting to draw his Tanto with him to no avail. His blade was stuck. His eyes darted around, the hilt of the tanto protruding from his enemy's belly. Shiboi pounced at the close by Orca, using his extra weight as a weapon. Like a sumo wrestler, Shiboi launched himself at Orca. The hilt of the tanto embedded in Shiboi's fat tried to impale Orca, but the masked Anbiyu quickly dodged, leaving Shiboi on the ground. Wind style. Helix ball? Orca shouted, blowing a sphere of wind with sharp blades shaped like a spiral staircase orbiting the main sphere into his hand. With a quick throw, Orca's attack soared towards Shiboi's body. Ninyart, Fatizo. Shiboi roared, still face down on the ground. His fat began wrapping around his body, forming body armor for the Konoha nin. The hardened mixture of oils and grease shielded Shiboi from Orca's attack, the wind sphere barely shattering the shield. Seeing an opening, Shikamaru attacked. Fire style, burning ash. Gunpowder flew out of Shikamaru's mouth towards the opening in Shiboi's fat armor, Shikamaru igniting the flint. Inside the hole, the gunpowder exploded, the smell of smoke rising from where Shiboi was. I should have expected that, Shiboi said, slight burn marks appearing throughout his body. Shikamaru and Orca's opponent wiped the ashes from the explosion from his face. It's time. A roar resounded across their side of the cliff, showing Shiboi's determination to win. I need to get serious as well, Orca realized as he materialized a tanto out of thin air. The glacial sword gleamed under the sunlight, the sheer power he had over his Kekiai, Genkai, keeping the blade intact. An icy aura resonated from the body of the Kirigakure Anbiyu, the intensity of the cold causing Shikamaru to shudder. I'm keeping my streak of 200 successful missions, Shiboi announced before weaving hand seals for his clan's hidden ninjutsu. His hands, hammer in tow, doubled in size, dwarfing Shiboi's body. Shikamaru cursed as Shiboi's enlarged hammer came down on him, his mind still in the process of formulating tactics to defeat his enemy. He knew Choji very well, so why couldn't he think of how to beat Shiboi? Orca held up his ice sword, blocking the hammer with a weapon much smaller. Frost spread across the hammer, freezing the wood. The ice slowly moved to the hammer's grip. Swearing, Shiboi was forced to drop the hammer, his hand red from touching the ice. Encasing his huge hands in stone, Shiboi brought his fists down on Shikamaru. Small fireworks danced across the Konoha shinobi's fingers, unfazed by Shibuki's explosions. Shikamaru gritted his teeth, performing the sequence of seals required for the substitution jutsu, one of the very basic E-rank ninjutsu. A log took the hit for Shikamaru, the Nara's lips letting out a sigh of relief. Then an idea hit him. Orca made eye contact with his ally. A simple message was passed to him. Come on, fatso. Fight me head on. A grin forming on Shikamaru's face, Shiboi's cheeks turned blood red in anger. The one thing that pissed Choji off more than anything was someone uttering the cursed three-letter word. Fat. What did you say? Shiboi screamed at the top of his lungs. I told you to fight me head on fair and square, fatso. Orca's cold tone magnified the anger in Shiboi's eyes, lighting the fire that was in Akimichi's wrath. Shiboi quickly swallowed all 3 of the colored pills that each Akimichi shinobi kept on them, chakra butterfly wings emerging from his back. He had entered butterfly mode. Careless in his temper tantrum and forgetting the proper usage of butterfly mode, Shiboi quickly expanded his body, barreling towards Orca at top speed. Bullfighting it is, Orca said, taking out a white cloth out of nowhere and waving it in front of Shiboi. Maneuvering out of the way of the bowling ball that was Shiboi, Orca caused his enemy to hit a tree. I'll get you for this, Shiboi howled, before adjusting his trajectory to face Orca. The Akimichi's butterfly wings enveloped his technique, the sphere that was his body heading towards Orca again. This time, Orca put up an ice wall, Shiboi making contact with the Sub-Zero shield. Jiraiya's student cooled down from the impact, his back sore from the hit. Cold coursed through his veins, before he remembered how he was meant to use butterfly mode. Channeling the chakra from his wings to his fist, Shiboi shattered the ice wall. He raised another fist, cocking his hand back to deliver a hit on Orca. Shadow Possession Jutsu success, Shikamaru said before putting his hand back down. Shiboi followed suit, forced to buy his limbs. The first jutsu that every young Nara learned was being put to use. A Nara, Shiboi realized, upset by his failure to recognize the appearance of a male Nara. The pineapple hair, the smarts, the word troublesome, and the recent news that the Nara heir, Shikamaru Nara, the son of Shikako, was kidnapped. Shikamaru let a slight grin appear on his face. Immobilizing his opponent while they were suffering from the repercussions of entering the famed Akimichi butterfly mode, using the three-colored pills sure was a good way to exhaust them. While Shiboi was rendered unable to move by Shikamaru, Orca pelted the motionless Akimichi with ice attacks. Their enemy forced in one position, Orca subjected Shiboi to attacks that were meant to kill. Orca grimaced at how much it was taking to kill Shiboi. An attempt to decapitate, stopped by the thickness of his enemy's neck. Ice shards and ice spikes moved to impale Shiboi, and only the natural defense that was fat as well as endurance training kept Shiboi intact. "I won't die like this," Shiboi screamed with determination, not caving to the pressure of ANBU torture from Orca. With sheer willpower coupled with his years of training with Jiraiya and his clan, Shiboi's shadow temporarily disconnected with Shikamaru's, freeing Shiboi from the capture that was the shadow possession jutsu. Surprised by this development, Orca froze, leaving him open to Shiboi's butterfly punch. Orca's mask shattered, revealing jet black hair and onyx pupils. Shiboi grinned at the successful attack before launching another attack with his fist at Orca. It was revenge for the many failed attempts to kill him. Unfortunately for Jiraiya's student, Orca recovered from his first strike, the ANBU mask taking the brunt for him. Water style, water bomb. Shikamaru fired a water blast at Shiboi, diverting the Konoha nin's attention from Orca to him. Shiboi turned to face Shikamaru. Orca weaved hand seals, preparing an attack. The moisture in the air condensed, forming mini ice swords resembling the ice tanto he had made earlier. Orca tossed his ice tanto in the air, uttering the name of the technique. Ice style, ice swords. Ice blades flew towards Shiboi, but this time, the fatso's body reacted positively to the cold, accustomed to it because of the many times he had been assaulted with Orca's ice release. Orca cursed, the effectiveness of his ice release whittled down by Shiboi's fat providing insulation, as well as Shiboi growing used to the cold. As Shiboi rotated his body to face Orca, a flash of inspiration brandished itself on Shikamaru's face. He flashed a glance towards Orca, another wordless conversation in progress. Shiboi and Orca shared a taijutsu exchange, Orca holding out despite being at a disadvantage. Orca dodged Shiboi's offensive butterfly punches while returning his own attacks. Occasionally, Orca would utilize ice style to encase his fists, slowly adjusting the temperature of his eyes to a colder one. Shiboi returned the favor with fists encased in both calorie-controlled butterfly chakra and earth-release chakra, trading chakra-enhanced blows with Orca. Slowly but surely, Shiboi began to become skinnier. Shikamaru nodded at Orca, giving the signal to execute the plan. Orca smiled slightly before he jumped backwards. The Kirigakure ANBU blew a gust of wind at the enemy, blowing Shiboi backwards. Following Orca's unexpected wind attack, Shikamaru formed a water clone next to him, the duo of Genin and clone performing a combination attack. Fire style, burning ash. Shikamaru whispered, and Shiboi's eyes widened as he realized Shikamaru's plan. Wind style, great breakthrough. The wind increased the power of the fire, the gunpowder blowing up into a dangerous fire. Shiboi tried as hard as he could to dodge, to no avail. The flames made contact with Shiboi's skin, causing fourth-degree burns. The normally second-degree flames increased by 2 levels from the wind attack and the intricate plan that Shikamaru had developed on the spot. The cornerstone of Shikamaru's plan was the fact that Shiboi's body had grown accustomed to the sub-zero that was Orca's ice release, and would react negatively to a quick change from hot to cold. Hack! Shiboi shouted in pain, the flames burning through his remaining fat. The pain from Shikamaru's flames stimulated Shiboi's vagus nerve, causing the Akimichi to pass out onto the ground. Both Orca and Shikamaru let out a sigh, relieved by the fact that they had defeated their enemy. Leave him. I doubt we'd be able to kill him or take him back to Kirigakure, Shikamaru told Orca, who nodded, trusting the Nara's judgment. After all, the Nara clan's line of heirs was infamous for their genius and absurdly high IQ. Extremely powerful killing intent flooded both battlefields, causing both Kirigakure, Shinobi, turn their attention to the battle raging on the other side of the human-made ravine. Shocked as well as scared, their eyes widened at the sight that they saw. Naruto was using the demonic chakra of the nine-tailed fox. The demonic red chakra of the nine-tailed fox enveloped Naruto, shrouding the blonde Uzumaki. One fox tail sprouted from his back, swinging back and forth in anticipation. Shark and fox features were shared by Naruto's body. The most notable difference is whiskers flaring up and his slit eyes. Hihari shook in fear, recalling when her teammate Minato died, sealing the nine-tailed beast in his son, Naruto. However, her training with the Yondaime Hokage and one of the legendary Sannin allowed her to force her body to move, dodging Naruto's wave of water. It wasn't enough. The water was a front for the formerly Sane's true attack, the new technique he had learnt by looking at a scroll in Kusa. 8 razor-sharp needles made of wind chakra pierced through the wave of water, aimed at Hihari's 8 vitals. Unfortunately, the Nine-Tails' Ki was too strong, giving Hihari little to no time to dodge. The Konoha Kunoichi quickly dodged the 8 needles, only for the wind weapons to come zooming back towards her vital organs. Hihari cussed to herself before launching a fire release attack. Fire style, Phoenix Flower. The pressure of a fight against a 1/9 Tails chakra mode, as well as Samahata mode, began reaching Hihari's head as the 8 fireballs meant as counters left her lungs. 1 Tail mode. Naruto grinned at Hihari's frustration, feeding off her negative emotions. The 9 Tails weave hand seals using his host's hands, calling out the name of the technique he was about to launch at their target. Wind style, Vacuum Blast. Naruto's anger acted as fuel for the 9 Tails. More of the demon's chakra seeping into Naruto's chakra circulatory system. Seeing Naruto's head rotate furiously, Hihari quickly substituted herself with a log, hiding behind a tree. Finally, noticing the still intact wind needles still headed towards her, Hihari put up a wall of fire around her to block Naruto's 2 wind attacks. Wind blades flew around the battlefield in all angles, cutting up trees and obliterating the forest. Naruto, with the assistance of his prisoner, wrecked the tree that Hihari was taking shelter behind with his wind blades, only for the chakra weapons to be drowned out by the flames. Hihari let out a sigh of relief as all of Naruto's wind attacks fanned the flame that was her firewall. The flames blazed even fiercely than before, the wind chakra boosting the fire chakra. Naruto felt his body move without him wanting it to, no doubt the work of the 9 Tails. The adrenaline rushed through his veins, replenishing the exhausted boy's energy. The great power of the 9 Tails was amazing. However, the Uzumaki could also sense his thoughts getting more and more corrupt. Come out and play? The 9 Tails boomed through Naruto's vocal cords, his power distorting his host's voice. Hihari nervously darted from tree to tree, trying her best to prevent being discovered by her superior opponent. However, the Konohanin failed to take into account one of the unique powers of the 9 Tails, to sense negative emotions. The 1-tailed Naruto swung the 1 chakra tail at the tree where Hihari was hiding, uprooting it in one blow. His fusion with Samahata only intensified the power in his hands, just a moment's reach away. Fire style, Flame Bombs. He never had any fire release techniques, Hihari thought, substituting herself with one of the logs from the trees that Naruto's wind release attacks had sliced up. Is this a technique from the 9 Tails? In Naruto's mindscape, Kurama cursed at the fact that he only had 1 tail at his disposal. Still, 1 tail was better than no tails. The feral Naruto gritted his teeth at his opponent's ability to dodge, launching into another attack. If the blonde was still sane, he would probably wonder who the strange fox was, and where he was when he met the 9 Tails. But alas, he was already snapped back to reality before he had time to ask questions. The flaming bullet whizzed towards Hihari, the Kunoichi quickly moving out of the way. Naruto's attack hit a tree, the tree going up in flames. That was way too close, Hihari thought, her mind turning to the second option, escape. She definitely couldn't beat Naruto under the 9 Tails' influence, but Jiraiya could. Prolonging the fight for any longer would only lead to her being slaughtered by Naruto. The corruption in Naruto's mind brought about by the 9 Tails' chakra banished the shreds of doubt in the corner of Naruto's brain away, reminding Naruto that he had the upper hand. The increasingly insane Uzumaki closed his eyes to sense his opponent's position before leaping at Hihari. Tiring much sooner than expected, Jiraiya's student speedily weaved a hand seal, a puff of smoke obscuring Naruto's vision for a split second before the blonde's attack made contact with a log. Naruto cursed loudly, much to the chagrin of Orca on the other side of the cliff. The blonde remembered the secret weapon he had learned on the night he left for Kirigakure, the Shadow Clone Jutsu. Putting 2 fingers on each hand together in a plus shape, Naruto called into existence 50 shadow clones with the same amount of the Nine Tails influence as the real Naruto. Hihari bit her lip, shuddering in fear of her opponent's absurd power. She couldn't run away due to the Nine Tails' speed, so what could she do? The demon fox placed a grin on Naruto's face, gaining more influence by the second. Shadow clones destroyed trees, lighting them on fire to minimize the amount of options for Hihari to substitute. In Naruto's mindscape, the true Naruto struggled to regain control of his own body. The sound of the Nine Tails chuckling at the amount of control he was receiving resonated in Naruto's eardrums, drawing more and more frustration from the blonde. Unbeknownst to Naruto, negative emotions fueled the Nine Tails' power. Hihari took refuge behind another tree, pausing for a moment to regain some stamina before moving to another one. 50 Nine Tails enhanced clones were quite the army. The most scary thing was that Naruto could make more if he wanted to. Like children playing hide and seek or a cat chasing a mouse, Naruto and Hihari moved very quickly, Naruto attempting to capture and maybe even kill Hihari. Hihari faked a movement out towards the sea and cut backwards, sprinting past Naruto back to where they came from. Her sensory capabilities could feel Naruto on her tail, chasing rapidly. Her opponent's strength giving her no other choice, Hihari did the only thing she could. She ran. It wasn't long before Naruto caught up to her, his sharpened nails lengthened by both the Samahata transformation and the Nine Tails' chakra. Feeling Naruto's nails scratching her skin, Hihari quickly substituted herself with one of Naruto's clones. Wincing from the pain, she grabbed the wound tightly with her hand. That was a big mistake, her pupils darting around her. All Hihari could see was Naruto. Naruto's clones encircled their enemy, pacing around Hihari like a lion waiting for its prey. That was until Hihari disappeared from the lines of sight of Naruto and his clones, nowhere to be seen. The Kunoichi let out a sigh of relief in her camp underground, before the ground shaking pulled her out of her trance. Naruto and his clones jumped at the same time, the sounds of the moving ground beating like a drum. The vibrations caused by the Naruto army forced Hihari to return above ground, right in front of Naruto. Leaping at the Konoha Kunoichi, Naruto prepared to slice up Hihari with his claw-like nails. Hihari grunted, barely dodging the attack. Naruto's nails grazing Hihari's body. Red liquid stained the inside of the Kunoichi's clothing. Hihari trying her best to avoid Naruto's relentless assault. In combination with his clones, Naruto launched attacks meant to kill from all angles, but Hihari managed to sustain the least amount of damage possible. Thanks, Jiraiya-sensei. Hihari thought, Naruto or his clones landing a hit again. I can't run anymore, and I don't think Jiraiya-sensei is coming anytime soon. Maybe I should just... No, I can survive. The Nine Tails sneered at the success of Naruto and his clones combo, until his host's enemy began fighting back. In several hits, Naruto's clones began dispelling. The Nine Tails hollered at Naruto from inside the cage. I need more power. A burst of sinister chakra exploded from Naruto's body, freezing Hihari in the killing intent. Naruto pulled back his balled fist, ready to make contact with Hihari's face. Naruto's fist collided with his enemy's face, knocking the Konoha backwards by a few acres. A figure emerged from behind the Kirigakure shinobi. Naruto! A familiar voice echoed through Naruto's head. Naruto? 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 Naruto! Naruto clutched his head in pain, the sane Naruto fighting back against the Nine Tails' corruption. The shark in Naruto's mind nodded, disappearing together with the protective cloak of the demon inside him. The Nine Tails' chakra slowly receded, Naruto turning his head backwards. The gaze of Naruto met Haku's eyes. The formerly unconscious Kunoichi finally awakened. What happened? An hour later, The four Kirigakure shinobi met on the coast, ready to return to their home village. Both Naruto and Haku had plenty of questions to ask, Orca and Shikamaru only able to answer a few of them. After all, Haku had been knocked out and Naruto hadn't been in control of his own body during the second half of the battle. Who was that fox that I met before I started winning? Naruto questioned, and the now maskless ANBU officer bit his lip. I'll leave that to Kisame to answer. Orca replied, bombarded with questions from all sides. Why do you have my clan's Kekkei Genkai? Haku asked, her eyes showing her suspicion of Orca. And what is your real name? I will answer that when we return to Kirigakure. Orca answered, receiving another untrusting glare from Haku. I promise. That pleased Haku enough that she didn't advance the discussion further. Other than the occasional word or two, the group stayed silent throughout the journey. All further questions would be answered in Kirigakure. After a bit more of traveling, the four shinobi were greeted by a set of familiar doors, and upon entry, a familiar tower. Surprising all of them, the fifth Mizukage, Mei Terumi, was there to meet them. Did you lot complete the mission? Mei asked, scanning the four that returned. And where is Kisame? A lot happened. Orca informed her, his unmasked face showing. And Kisame? I'm not sure if he'll be back. 5 hours later, a bloody Kisame stepped through the gates of Kirigakure, letting out a sigh of relief. I'm Olive. Upon arriving at the swordsman estate, the shark man was met with more questions than he was ready to answer. Team 12, along with Orca and Kisame, stood in front of Mei. The Mizukage had called the meeting in her office due to the fact that the discussion would be about something confidential. If word got out about Kirigakure possessing Konoha's Jinchuriki, the other villages could very well ally, and Kirigakure would end up like Yuzushobikure. First of all, everything discussed in here will not be told to anyone else, understood? Mei clarified, a stern look warning the genin of the consequences of disobedience. Team 12's heads bobbed up and down, nodding in agreement. Good. Because of your encounter with Jiraiya of the Sannin and his two accomplices, you will be given S-rank pay. Anyways, I need to address two things. Mei informed her subordinates. Firstly, you three returned late, and hence did not receive this announcement. Had you not been intercepted on your way back, you would have been briefed with the other 3 genin 7 swordsmen. What is it, Databeo? Naruto questioned, curiosity dancing across his face. You will be leaving the village in 3 days. Mei replied, Kisame and Orca already aware about what she was talking about. We are participating in the Chunin exams hosted in Kimobikure. We have not participated in any Chunin exams since the Civil War started, and we will show the other villages that we are strong as ever. Plus, our new 7 swordsmen of the mist will have an opportunity to be promoted. Sounds troublesome, Shikamaru muttered, his ears buzzing in annoyance from Naruto's whoop of joy and apology. For your safety, Mei continued, turning towards Orca. Orca here will act as your bodyguard in Kimobikure. This is because Kimobikure has an obsession for Kekkei Genkai, and may try to make a move to procure Haku and her ice release. Also, Konoha is participating, and they may try to retrieve Naruto and Shikamaru during the exams. Don't we have diplomatic immunity during the Chunin exams? Shikamaru reminded Mei, who winked at him for his smart remark. Yes, but Orca will be there in case anything happens. Mei responded, in full agreement with Shikamaru's reminder. What is the second point, Mizukage-sama? Haku asked politely. Naruto and I have many questions to ask Kisame-sensei and Orca. As Naruto says, Kisame-sensei has had enough rest. Mei said, brushing off Haku's request after taking it into consideration. I was about to discuss that with you 3. I'm sure all of you are as curious as me about the mission. The second point is that Kisame and I have come to a conclusion. Naruto needs to know and will be told about his heritage, or at least the parent that we have knowledge about. And as for you, Haku, Orca, or Hakuhyo, will answer your questions. The brash, speak before thinking Naruto, from when he arrived at Kirigakure resurfaced at the mention of learning about his parents. Orca's real name overshadowed by the bigger revelation about Kirigakure possessing knowledge about Naruto's parents. For that, we will separate you 3 into 2 different rooms for this information. Mei stated, her cool voice shrouding her in an aura of power. Shikamaru and Naruto will stay here with Kisame and I. while Haku will go with Orca to the room across from here. Orca, remember to activate the privacy seals. Yes, Mizuki-sama, Orca said, leading Haku to the room that Mei had instructed them to enter for their discussion. Once Haku and Orca had left the room, Mei double-checked the privacy seals plastered on the walls of the room. The privacy seals are on. Kisame nodded at Mei, beginning his story. First of all, the nine-tailed fox. Didn't the fourth Hokage kill him more than 12 years ago? Naruto asked, knowing that the day that the Nine Tails was defeated by the Yondaime Hokage was his birthday. Yes, but a tailed beast is made of chakra. That's what differentiates me, the tailless tailed beast, with real tailed beasts. Kisame explained. Chakra constructs can't be killed. So, instead of killing the Nine Tails, he sealed it in a newborn baby. Naruto, that baby was you. That explains the weird cage fox. What about the shark guy? Naruto wondered out loud. The shark is Samehada. You must have been in Samehada fusion mode. Kisame replied, having gone through a similar experience of meeting Samehada in his mindscape in the past. So it was Samehada? Huh? Naruto said, his question answered. Yes. Kisame continued, moving on to the next part of the talk. His stare turned to the Nara, patiently listening, driven by his desire to know everything. Shikamaru wore an expression of boredom, but his Nara nature did not permit him to pass down opportunities for more knowledge. After all, when developing strategies, it was important to have plenty of information at your disposal to take into consideration. Moving on. Naruto, you are very skilled in Kenjutsu for someone who has only been learning the art for a few months. Do you know why? Kisame said, locking eyes with Naruto. Seeing Naruto's head shake in disagreement, Kisame resumed talking. You got good at Kenjutsu mostly because of the hard work you put into your Kenjutsu training. But there was another factor at play in your fast progression. Talent. Naruto looked eagerly at Kisame, knowing that what his mentor would say next was going to be exciting. And that probably came from your mother, Kushina Uzumaki. Kisame pulled out his katana, reminiscing his fight with Kushina Uzumaki from a long time ago. She had pushed Kisame to his limits, a duel of Samehada fusion against a two-tailed Biju cloak. She was a Kenjutsu master. She managed to barely defeat me, and probably could take down 4 of the old generation 7 swordsmen at a time, unless I was one of the 4. Seeing Naruto's eyes glimmer, Shikamaru silently pondered about what that implied. So Jinpachi-sensei and Kushimaru aren't anywhere close to Kisame-sensei. Wow, Mom was so amazing, Naruto exclaimed, unable to suppress the childish desire to shout anymore. Yeah, Kisame agreed, giving his student a sharky grin. But remember, don't shout until you've completely mastered the silent killing, or you'll give away your location in a fight. You're part of a clan. Clan? Like Shikamaru and Haku? Naruto asked, having failed to pay attention during his days in the Konoha Academy. Though he had catched up a bit on his lost education with Kisame, practical, fighting training took priority. Yup, the Uzumaki clan were masters of Fuinjutsu, or sealing jutsu, and Kenjutsu. They were known for their long lives and especially potent chakra. Because of their absurd amount of powers and skills, their hidden village, Yuzushiyobikure, was wiped out by a coalition of hidden villages in the Second Shinobi World War. Kisame informed Naruto, your mother was one of the Uzumaki who settled in foreign lands. Naruto, while at the feats and abilities of his near-extinct clan. If his mom was so strong, then who was his father? Samehada also told me during our battle that your mother was the Jinchuriki of the Nine Tails, just like you. Kisame said, startling Naruto. And as for your father, we don't really know much about him, except that he must have had blue eyes and blonde hair like you, because nearly all young Uzumaki have red hair and violet eyes. I wonder if Dad's an awesome ninja like Mom. Naruto's thoughts drifted off to a foreign plane, a quick flash of the face of the Yondaime appearing in his head for a split second. Unfortunately, Naruto shrugged it off. So, is that all, Databeo? Mei responded with a simple yes, ushering the 2 genin out of her office to return to their compound. Gesturing to Kisame to stay behind, Mei began giving instructions to the Shark Man. Kisame gave the Mizukage a quick nod of acknowledgement before he, too, exited the room. Naruto strapped the Kirigakure Hitayate onto his forehead, Samehada strapped onto his back. The rest of the 7 swordsmen carried their blades on their back or on their waist, the symbol marking their village emblazoned on their hate. "Ready to go yet?" Kisame asked, his replacement sword sheathed and attached onto his belt. The six swordsmen Jinin flashed Kisame a thumbs up before following their senseis, Jinin and Kisame, out of the gates of Kirigakure. The calm wind blew into Naruto's face, contrasting the blazing sun hanging up above the clouds. The clear waters were transparent, showing off the sea animals under in all their glory. It wasn't until the water around them began to shift from calm waters to more fierce ones that Naruto realized that they weren't headed towards Kirigakure. "Kisame-sensei, where are we headed?" Naruto asked his mentor, who returned a sharky grin. "You'll see when we get there," Kisame answered. Sharing a glance with Jinin, Kisame gestured towards the west, Jinin grunting in agreement. The waters slowly turned foamy and unclear, waves beginning to rise. As the group neared dry land, the waves grew larger and the water intensified. Whirlpools began to form around the island they were approaching. Rain clouds soared above their head, dripping raindrops down onto the waters. Ripples spread from the point of collision. Skillfully evading the suction of the whirlpools, the shinobi ran towards the dry land, their sandals and feet splashed with water from behind. The droplets of water gradually drenched each ninja with water, the liquid dripping from their hair down to the ocean below. Finally touching dry ground, Naruto smiled until he saw the first sign of civilization. Ruins littered the island, showing that the location was a shadow of its former self. "But who resided here a long time ago? Welcome to Yuzushiobikure," Kisame said, gesturing to the ruins of the ancient ninja village. "Mizuki-sama told Jinin and I that we are to stop here." Kisame's eyes met Jinin's, and the two began a wordless conversation. Acknowledging his comrade's approval, Kisame inconspicuously traveled towards the other side of the island, facing the land of fire. "So, Mei-sama was right, huh?" A hawk perched on Kisame's arm, cawing. The bird handed a note over to Kisame, perching on the shark man's shoulder. "So, I meet the spy at the Chunin exams, huh?" Kisame asked the hawk on his shoulder, and took the bird's response as a yes. "Got it." With that, the hawk flapped its wings and shook its head, flying off into the horizon. Naruto explored the remains of the village that his clan had previously resided in, wanting to find out about how his clan was like. He had already meddled in one of the two arts that the Uzumaki clan specialized in, Kenjutsu. Maybe I should dabble in Fuinjutsu? Walking into a cave, Naruto collided with an invisible barrier, a drop of blood surfacing from his nose from the impact. Upon the blood touching the barrier, Naruto was allowed access into the cave, revealing shelves and shelves of books and scrolls. Many jutsu scrolls and history books littered the Uzumaki clan library, some of the most powerful techniques stored within the location. Regality radiated throughout the room, the magnificence of the library outshining its age. Naruto's eyes excitedly shimmered. Knowing that they had to arrive at Kirigakure soon, Naruto grabbed 2 jutsu scrolls off the shelves and exited the Uzumaki clan library. Naruto's legs carried him towards his comrades, stuffing the jutsu scrolls into his pockets to work on at a later date. "I'm back!" the Uzumaki shouted, flailing his arms. The other swordsman glanced at him, before taking off back out into the ocean towards Kirigakure. However, Naruto couldn't help but remember the 2 names of the jutsu scrolls that he had snatched from the library. One of the jutsu was Wind Style, Wind Sword, but the second scroll he couldn't shake out of his mind. The title read Basics to Fuinjutsu, Uzumaki Style. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed exploring this What If with me. If you did, please consider leaving a like and subscribing for more videos like this. Your support truly makes a difference, and I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Let me know what you'd like to see next. Until next time, take care and stay tuned for more.